Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Everyone, thank you for your patience and welcome back to the Sikh Summit. Today, July 20th, Sunday, is our focus on mental health, spirituality, and we're very honored to have Bhupinder Benji come and speak to us about the Umeed helpline to kick off the day as we wait for Jasveer Benji to join us. I'll let you take it away, Bhupinder.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining back to the Sikh Summit. Looking forward to great participation. We had a great turnout yesterday. Looking forward for exciting questions again today. And please feel free to put in your questions and jump in. Really looking forward to having a great time with everyone. Thank you.
Again, welcome everybody. So nice to see you all. I think we just started like 5 minutes ago, and I know that people are still joining. Would it be okay if we give them a few more minutes leeway of
Yeah,
joining
sure.
in?
I think it's a great idea. And I was also thinking maybe people, if ever they have any questions from yesterday, they can always ask us. And Prabjeet, any feedback from yesterday, and just Taj, any questions? Any that'd be lovely to hear. And what do you expect from us? That'll be fantastic to know. And Harnoor, yeah.
You guys go ahead and add any questions to the chat, how you felt about yesterday's meeting, what you guys are excited to learn about today.
I can kick it off personally. I'm excited to explore activism and the work that UNITEDSIKHS does through the lens of spirituality and the lens of mental health, because I think they absolutely go hand in hand, especially for the particular work that UNITEDSIKHS does. I think it's important to remember that, baser anchor of, feeding yourself so that you can serve others.
Mhm. Very well said. Yeah, that is a core value of Sikhi as well, and I'm really happy that United Sikhs really resonates with that, and we operate with the core Sikhi value. That is really critical and really takes me home and encourages me to do more and more with the United Sikhs. Yeah. So yesterday was awesome, a really great event. All the legal discussions was an eye opener. It was a little scary as to what's going on in the country, but also good to get some ways to know what we can do about it, right? And to also guide our family members and others to see what we can do about that, just to protect ourselves in this tough times. So yeah, yesterday was really great. Today, very excited for today as well. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Indrajit Singh. I'm based here in New York City. I'm really looking forward to hearing from Jasveer and the whole concept of music therapy. I've never heard of it before, and I know she's very well known about it, particularly in the UK. So I'm really looking forward to learning more about music therapy, and yeah, thank you. I see we have some new people joining today. Harnoor, is that the Harnoor I know? Do you want to introduce yourself? Harnoor Singh, is that you?
If not, please feel free to jump in again, either in the chat or don't be afraid to interrupt. Encourage you all to introduce yourselves. We've loved yesterday learning about everybody's different backgrounds and the kind of new faces that we get to meet here at UNITEDSIKHS. Jump right in.
Yeah, I mean, if just people could just give like a brief introduction, Akshita Sangha.
Okay, this is great here. Hoping to learn about how spirituality and mental health can be utilized as safeguards for activist work, protecting yourself when doing activist work, especially when dealing with hard situations. Absolutely agree. Again, back to my point of feeding your own self so that you can feed others is a very, very real and very important concept that I think so much of service, we tend to forget that aspect of it, but it really is so important. And I'm happy that we get to do this today. Completely agree. From
Thank you.
Toronto. Nice to
Yeah.
meet you.
Happy to be a Toronto. Very nice. Harnoor Kaur, nice to meet you and welcome to this to the 2025 Sikh Summit. Do you want to give like a brief description about yourself? What made you want to join the Sikh Summit, and how did you hear about this, and what do you know about United Sikhs? What you would like to learn? Thank you. This is for Harnoor Kaur.
If we have no one else who feels brave enough to jump in, Bhupinder, do you want to speak a little bit about the helpline before we while we wait for Jasveer to join?
Just Beer, we're all set up. We're good. Almost just waiting for her to join, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So I will.
Just 1 second, Bhupinder. We have a new person that joined, Mr. Zorro. Can you please introduce yourself? We have Tejveer. Yes, also that's good.
Go ahead,
Iknoor,
Zoro.
that's also, if you guys want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi guys. I was here last year as well. My name is Robert Singhil. I love attending the Sikh Summit every year. It's a fantastic opportunity to connect with many different people and you know, embrace with my community and stuff. And yeah, I'm here in New York and I love being here.
That's wonderful, Mr. Zoravar. How did you hear about the Sikh Summit?
Oh, I actually heard about it from my mother. She was going on online and she found this and it was a very unique opportunity, so I decided to join and I did not regret that decision. So I'm here again and I just love it. I think I'll be attending next year as well. Thank you.
How
Wonderful.
old are
Thank
you? Zoravar Vijay,
Yeah.
how old?
Oh, I'm 15.
Oh, that's great. Young activism. We love that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who else is here?
Yeah, I'm also a 17-year-old. I was there yesterday. Um, I look forward to learning about today, and I think yesterday, learning about hearing the aunties speak about how they're dealing with their sons like discrimination or whatever was really heartfelt. Thankfully, now I think it's a bit better. Especially, I'm located in California, so there's actually quite a lot of Punjabis and Sikhs here, Indians just in general. But yeah, but it's still a rampant issue, especially in places like Texas, who I have like family friends or Sikh friends there. But yeah.
Thank you so much. Welcome, Mr. Tate Singh. Thank you. Bhupinder Benji, I think you could start now.
Okay, we had one more um attendee just join in, Jagdeep Ji. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the summit. Um, so I will um, share my screen for just a second. Please bear with me. So while I'm doing that, let me introduce myself. My name is Bhupinder Kaur. I am the United Sikhs Lead Helpline Manager. So for those of you who don't know what the Lead Helpline is, let me turn my phone off 1 second. I keep getting distracted. Okay, so hold on. Let me share my screen first, and then I will continue. All right. Sorry. Mhm. Try and move stuff around, sorry. Okay, there we go. Can you guys see all this?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, wait. All right, awesome. Okay, so the Umeed helpline, it's a 24-hour helpline that United Sikhs had started, I believe prior to COVID, and during COVID, this helpline was really aimed at getting our community the help that they needed, globally, really, but you know, obviously COVID was a really hard time. There was a lot of things happening, but thankfully that has subsided, and now we have redirected the Umeed helpline for more of a support for our community system. So it's a 24-hour helpline, like I said, 7 days a week. Literally, you guys can note this number down, share it with your friends and family. Um, the amazing thing about this is that we speak Punjabi, we speak Hindi, we can understand Urdu because it's kind of a mix, and obviously English. So you can call 24 hours a day and someone will pick up the phone. So let's go to So if you guys already know, the word Meed means hope in Punjabi. So a lot of times, it's a helpline that aims to provide crucial support and guidance to individuals battling various challenges in their lives. The helpline offers a safe space for those going through personal crisis to access resources in mental health, support, substance abuse, counseling, domestic abuse counseling, and legal aid. And depending on what type of social support, we can also offer that as well. So, if you guys wouldn't mind, I would love to ask, when you guys hear of the word Umeed, what comes to your mind? What do you feel? How do you get hope? How does Umeed relate to you? You can go ahead and just totally unmute and just start speaking, or if you would like, you can add it into the chat. And I would love to ask some of my colleagues as well, what does Umeed mean to you?
In prayer, I would relate Umeed or hope to prayer to God. Like, I hope things work out, things go well. And I tend to lend a ear or talk to the God just with the Umeed, the hope, the crisis or whatever I'm going through goes through stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of times, especially depending on what situation you're going through in your life at that time, you feel hopeless. You're
Yeah.
like, depending if it's a really bad thing, it's just so scary, and you really feel like, kind of the end of the world, and you don't know what to do, where to go, who to talk
Yeah.
to, especially when you have like family issues. Um, you're not going to go in a lot of, we're not comfortable. We're not at the space yet that people can just, talk to their family about whatever problems they're having, because they're kind of the root of the problem, but you feel really hopeless, and the Umeed helpline offers to be a space where, number one, there's no judgment, and then number two, you're able to speak freely. You can talk whatever you want on your mind, as light as it may be in your mind, or as heavy as it may be, weigh in your mind. That's the type of support that we want to offer here at the Umeed helpline. So we have access to a network of service providers. So we have healthcare professionals, we have legal experts, and obviously we work with different community organizations, in which I will share with you in a little bit. But we also, again, this summit itself, we want to open it up, and also share with you the providers that we do have. So if you or your family is in any one of these fields or any other field that, you know, is not listed here, that you would like to become like a resource for the You Need helpline, I, you know, would really encourage you guys to contact with me. And again, I will share my information in the chat once I'm done with this. But, you know, we are always looking for legal professionals. And again, United Six offers a lot of communication or connections with our current legal experts. So if people are, you know, looking for some type of training or internships or, you know, stuff like that, you know, feel free to contact us. But healthcare professionals, you know, we try to run like health, you know, health camps, um, health screenings is what I meant to say. We want to help our community find the help that they need. So basically, we have our own in-house experts that can help, but we also work with other organizations, and we can refer you out to the you know, type of help that you might need. So I really want to talk about the different challenges our community is going through. A lot of times it's really, really hard for us to just talk about what's, you know, going on. Loneliness, as we all already know, is an epidemic, especially during COVID. It was really bad, but, you know, people still face issues. Domestic violence, unfortunately, in our community, it's absolutely not talked about. Emotional abuse is something that's not talked about. You know, people are little kids going through bullying, like we spoke about it yesterday. Substance abuse. There's multiple different substances people are using, and we can try to find the help that you may need. And there's a lot of legal issues. So sometimes we have families that are looking for, you know, like a mother who's going through a, you know, an issue in her life where she's no longer, you know, going to be married. She has got kids and she's trying to find help. So we can try to find some type of support for them there. And then elderly, our you know, our older population, a lot of, you know, we try to keep our grandparents with us. You know, that's one thing that our community does well. But even though, you know, people work, our parents work, grandparents left at home, kids end up going to school, and the grandparents are left at home, you know, by themselves. So sometimes we need to fill that gap. And so let me tell you a story, you guys. I had a caller of a elderly couple that lived here in California, and they needed to find care for their elderly grandparents. The Mataji, the grandmother, was, you know, handicapped, so, you know, she's not able to do anything around the house, and the grandfather, again elderly, wasn't very mobile. They needed someone basically to come and do like minuscule tasks, just make roti, maybe do a little bit of like cleaning, a little bit of laundry, you know, sirdi malish kar deti, something like that. And so they called the Amneed helpline trying to find someone. I think maybe within a day or two, another woman had called me. She had just recently lost her husband, and she had a, I believe, 13-year-old son, and the husband was the primary caregiver. She had no prior job experience whatsoever. She like she didn't know what to do. And I said, "Bhanji, tonu roti banani aandi hai?" And she's like, "Yeah, of course, you know." And I said, "Well, there's this couple that's, you know, however distance it was away. They said that they need ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੋੜ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਕੋਈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ, you know, ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ." And like I said, the family, the, you know, the parents of the situation, they went to work while the grandparents stayed at home. It was such a win-win situation. Like, you know, I don't even know how it came together, but it did. But, you know, the widowed woman was able to find a source of means to take care of her son and herself. And then "O buzurgan di seva vaste bhi koi baat kya seva." So it was really great. But yeah, these are some of the, challenges that our community faces. I would love to ask any of you guys, have you heard of any, issues that people all go through, or, someone who they don't know, who to talk to? I want to hear what you guys are saying.
I do want to circle back to what you said about, the reliance on substances as a way to avoid mental health issues. I do think, speaking personally and just from conversations I've had with other community members, like I do think that can be particularly present in the Punjabi community, in the South Asian community at large, because of what people have been saying in the chat, that it is still a taboo subject. And yeah, those are my thoughts on that, I guess.
Really. Okay, so I'll move on to the next slide.
Yeah, Bhupinder, listening to you, I thought of this question because after listening to those who call, how do you unload? How do you debrief? Or it's some sort of care for the caregiver, because in this situation you are the caregiver, and how do you unload? How do you do it? Or do you seek also treatment or help from someone else? If you can share that with us, because that's for me, listening to you, you listen to so many people, and how do you do that after listening to a session?
Shall we talk about my own mental health? Oh my God, thank you so much for that question. Literally, no one has ever asked me on how I take care of my own mental health. And I think, what's a better time than now? Honestly, um, thankfully, am able to lean on a good group of girlfriends who, number one, that I'm able to talk to, and then able to vent with, obviously we have our own friends and everything. And, being in similar age groups, we go through a lot of similar things with our kids and, spouses and families, and, trying to connect with our community, our culture, heritage, on India, and then also try to be modern, here in America, especially where our kids are growing up, and the language, it's really, really difficult, but, keeping that gap, fairly small, and being able to lean on other people. And, I think it really, I'll even tell you, one of the reasons that I got into working with UNITEDSIKHS is because I did experience a lot of situations in my own personal life. And thankfully, I was able to get past all of those things. And my own, feeling is that I did not have the support when I needed it. So when UNITEDSIKHS came to me saying that there's this helpline, and I wanted to jump on it. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about helping everyone, because I really wish I want to be the support that I didn't get. And I think that's why I really care about it so much. It's really near to my heart. I forgot to mention, but I have 3 kids. They're all boys. They're 6, 13, and 16. So yesterday when we were talking about, like stuff that our kids go through, I came to America when I was 3 years old. I'm 3 now. And, I understand what happens here in the Western culture, things that, kids go through. It's really, really important that we have resources like this. And again, there's so many other organizations. It's, and we're all able to come together to help one another. So I think that's super important. And I'm just really proud. Not only are we having these conversations, but like we're having these platforms that it's out in the open that we're talking about these things, right? So again, every story matters. Every voice is heard. Anyone who calls, like I said, we either try to get them the communication that they need. We talk to them personally, they can talk. And again, I'm not sure if you guys are connected with us on our Instagram, but recently we did a podcast for men's mental health. I really encourage you guys to take a look at those videos. But it was so refreshing to see men open up about their own mental health, the struggles that they go through, and the stigma that's associated with just talking. Because, like, you know, that personality or that aura that men have to have, it's just like, you know, like, we're tough, we don't have to talk about this stuff. And but when that curtain is lowered and they're able to talk without judgment, it was so refreshing to see. And again, I really encourage our audience here to take a look at those videos. And yes, we'll share them again. Obviously, I mean, story of the day is, everyone knows women are so much more better at talking about things that go on in their life. But there's so many struggles that us as women go through. It's still hard to talk about it. Recently, I also had a webinar where moms, new moms and old moms, got to talk about their experience of being a mom. Um, we we did a webinar where just women who you either were pregnant or mothers of 1 year old and less, because as some of you may know, once you become a mom, you're a mom forever. Like, that's it. That's your title. You're no longer flipping their core or, like, you know, whatever. You're a mom, you know, like, and so when you kind of lose your identity, it's really, it takes a toll on you mentally, physically, every other illy that there is. But you know, so we created, and then for older moms, they're the children who have grown, maybe high school, college, and beyond. Maybe they're married and they have their own kids and now they're grandparents. We connected those women together and they were able to talk about their experiences of reclaiming their identity and, you know, finding out their new passions and how for them to find fulfillment in their life. So not only does you need helpline, you know, it like as a phone, but under the umbrella of Umeed, we really want to connect the community with each other and, you know, let people find support with one another. So again, I will ask the community here if there are any other ideas that you have, anything in your community that you want, the, you know, whatever change you want to see, let's help you bring it out. Let's contact me, contact UNITEDSIKHS. Let's get something together. All of these ideas that I mentioned, by the way, the men's mental health, the women, these came from volunteers. And like, I just see the community just flourishing and thriving. So I really encourage you guys to share your ideas. So obviously, talking about children, you know, there's academic pressure. We also did a youth webinar, which Prabjit Virji was also part of, that we tried to connect high school students to build their future and also how their Sikhi can guide them to flourish for their future. We invited a lot of professionals to talk about how they grew up here in America, or, you know, whichever country they were from, but they were able to stay tight with their Sikhi, and, you know, continue to build their faith as they built their careers. They even talked about how they built their pathway, what schools they went to, what advice they needed, you know, taking community college courses while they were in high school, you know, as, you know, before they started their college careers. So that youth seminar, you know, we'll be doing it again in the future. And again, I encourage you guys to, you know, join in on that as well. So I mentioned elderly, of course, but, you know, we all understand the struggles that elderly people go through, but a lot of times people just don't talk about it because, as you all know, in our South Asian culture, talking about your mental health isn't the top of the priority. The top of the priority is making money, making sure you have a job, making sure the grandkids are married, and bache ka do hone yan. These are the things, like, but elderly, they deal with loneliness, like I just mentioned, is, the parents, they go out to work, the kids they go to school, and grandma, grandpa are at home by themselves watching, BBC Punjabi news or, like drama all day. We need to do more. We need to find better resources for our elderly. We need to, navigate whatever struggles that they might be going through. And like, I really want to build that community stronger. But yeah, so does anyone have any questions so far? I would love to hear any. Um,
Hi, so I had a quick question, and anyone could answer this. I put it in the chat. Just basically, does Gurbani or Sikhi talk about mental health? And if it does, like how so? Because I know, because mental health is still considered and like mental illnesses in general are still considered like a big taboo in the Punjabi Sikh community. So I mean, like, is there any mentions of like mental health or like stuff like depression and stuff in Gurbani? Thank you.
that's a really wonderful question. I was actually, so one of our speakers coming up is Dr. Depinder Singh, and we were actually talking about that exactly yesterday, is how we can incorporate Gurbani into improving our mental health. In Japji Sahib, there's the part where you talk about Man Jeete Jag Jeet. So if you're able to control your mind, you're able to control the world. And apologies if that's incorrect, but a lot of our spirituality is, the concept of Jardi Kala. That's such a important way, and we need to stay. That's I know I have my own mental health struggles I'm dealing with, but I, again, encourage the floor to open it up. Go ahead and unmute yourself, you guys.
Hi, Bhumika. We actually just we have just Veer here right now. So we can absolutely keep this open to a few more questions. But just Veer, whenever you're ready, we're more than happy to jump into your session as well and hear what you have to say, especially about music therapy and the work that you do related to spirituality and to mental health.
Yeah. Welcome, Panji. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh, Panji. That was really insightful and really helpful, everything that you were sharing. And I was wanting to add into this question, and I thought I'll extend it into my talk. There's no explicit mention of mental health in the language that we're now more comfortable with in terms of English and those references and those phrases. But for me personally, the entire makeup of Gurbani is built on mental well-being, and not just from a scriptural perspective, but also from the musical perspective as well. So when we're reading Gurbani, there is so much reference to the man. And if I ask you the question, what is the man? What would be your answer to that? I'm not asking you for like a correct or incorrect answer, but whatever comes to mind, and you can throw it into the chat. Generally, when we're talking about the man, people talk about the mind. And then in other shabads, there's deeper reference to this idea of the soul. So it's like there's different entities almost that are existing inside of our being. And until we do that initial step of exploration or even having a conversation, is what is my man? Who is my man? What is my atma? What is my sarir? So the mind, the body, and the soul, these are the three components that make us whole as beings, as humans. And it's for me, to my understanding, and I could be wrong, it's about finding a balance between the three of these, because each of these three components are essential in terms of how we navigate the human experience. And for me, Gurbani is actually that roadmap. Like, how do you navigate your difficult moments? And one of the things that I would like to talk into, maybe a little bit further into my presentation, is about the purpose of Kirtan. That is my area of research and my area of expertise, specifically the pre-colonial rendition of what Kirtan was. So using the string instruments, you can see my rabab over my shoulder right there, and actually expressing and singing and understanding the Shabad in the rag that it is prescribed. And this is something that is generally omitted in Sikh practice globally. We've lost this connection, and it's what I feel is damaging us. It's making us feel further away from the Guru and further away from the practicality of Sikh values, because if we can't use these tools in our everyday life for our everyday situations, then it's almost derelict. And I don't mean to say that in a disrespectful way, but from a practical, realistic perspective, that these values, these teachings, these practices, this wisdom is meant to have more of a purpose and more of an impact in our everyday life than just when we're sitting down, closing our eyes, either in the Gurdwara or at home, or engaging with those few moments of spiritual connection. So that's to kind of connect your question, Inderjeet Singh. I'll go more in depth as we talk. I am just going to try to share my screen to see if we can make this a little bit more fun, so I'm not just talking. Give me a moment.
Take your time. In the meantime, I can go ahead and give you the formal introduction to our group here. Jasveer Kaurababan MBE is an acclaimed leadership coach, musician, PhD scholar at the University of California, Riverside, where she researches the intersection of sound, neuroscience, and trauma healing. She has over 2 decades of experience in transformational leadership, emotional resilience, and executive coaching, bringing a unique approach that blends ancient wisdom with cutting-edge insights into well-being and performance. As the former CEO of Raj Academy and the executive producer of the award-winning documentary Sikh Musical Heritage, The Untold Story, Jasveer has led global movements in cultural preservation, community empowerment, and mental health. Her work inspires leaders and changemakers to rethink success through the lens of purpose, presence, and personal transformation. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Penji. I just want to make sure, can you all see my slideshow? No.
I cannot.
Oh.
No, not yet.
I thought I did that. Okay, give me a second. I can see it on mine.
It says that you started screen sharing, but the screen is black.
Okay, am I doing something? Hang on. Okay, maybe I'm trying to do something too advanced here. Let me know if this works.
I think so.
Do you see my slideshow?
It's a white screen now.
Yeah. In the meantime, if you want to send it over to me, I'm more than happy to share on my screen if that's helpful for you. Meanwhile, everybody can take a 5-minute stretch break. Don't leave, but do stretch, take a little time, and we'll be ready for you shortly.
Okay, that would be great. If you give me a couple of minutes and we'll work out the tech stuff.
No problem.
Thank you.
Jasveer, were you able to send that to me via email?
I am just doing that. Give me a second.
Perfect. Take your time.
Okay, I just did a desi thing and put it in the chat. Could you get it from there?
Incredible.
Thank you. Okay, sometimes technology doesn't want to comply. What I'm going to try is I'm going to try to share my audio from my computer to see if I can play some music for you guys. Could you just let me know if you can hear this as well as my voice? Try this.
Faint.
It's faint. Okay, give me a second. Let me just go more into it. So you can hear this music and you can hear me or no?
I only hear you.
Oh, you don't hear the music? Oh, Inderjeet said yes. Do you hear the music now?
No music.
No music.
So
Okay.
we can't hear the music. We can only see you.
Yeah.
Simran, have you been able to share the presentation? Are you able to do that?
I'm working on it right now.
Okay, thanks. Maybe you want to share with a few others, so Bhupinder, everybody else, right? Just in case if, yeah.
I have it open. Let me know if you want me to share, guys.
Yeah.
If you're able to, that would be fantastic. I think it has something to do with the permissions.
Yep. Okay.
You still can't hear my computer audio?
No.
No.
Yeah.
This is disappointing. Okay.
There you go. All right, we got it, Prabjeet.
Yep. Sweet.
Thanks.
Oh,
Oh,
one second. Oh, where did it go? Okay, here we go. Let me mute myself.
thank you. Sorry. So I did intend to make this a little bit more fun, and I had some audio tracks that I was going to share with you and guide you through.
I'm
But
so sorry to interrupt you. Just FYI, someone just said in the chat to make sure the permissions are given from the system settings. Simran, is that something you could look into?
I believe that was just for the presentation, but now that we see that, I think that has been solved. As for the sound, I don't know how it pertains to that, but I'm just excited we have the presentation up now.
it's okay. That's okay. We're going to make this work. It says I can't share my computer sound while someone else is sharing the screen. So it's okay. We're going to do this. We're going to do this a different way. Thank you, everybody, for having me here. Thank you to UNITEDSIKHS for holding and creating such a beautiful space that can cultivate the minds of our future leaders. This is essential. This is important. This is everything we didn't have when we were growing up, which is why it's important to create these spaces and to nurture them as well. So firstly, I want to say thank you. And I want to welcome all of you for being here and for participating in all of these very, very interesting talks that you're going to be experiencing over the next few days. I want to share with you how Sikhi and the practices of the Sikh tradition can be used in your space of leadership and in your workplace too. We often don't make those connections. And I know a lot of friends from my generation and the generation before me who had to do a lot of code switching. And I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but it's when you're having to almost change who you are in different spaces. So you're a different person almost when you're at school or in your work environment to who and how you are and how you speak, even the language that you use when you're amongst people from the diaspora, your family, your cousins, your friends, when you're at home, when you're at the Gurdwara. And we're having to navigate these different ways of being in spaces that are not always made for us or welcoming for us. So there's a lot of invisible adaptations that we have to conform to in order to become successful, right? And this is the narrative that has been passed on from one generation to the other. And there's many layers of problems that we will encounter when this is not the tradition or the culture that belongs to us ancestrally, because it means we have to learn different ways of being. And what does that mean when we're looking at ourselves internally, at our hearts, at our minds, at our feelings, and who we want to be? And we always have to conform or make ourselves slightly smaller or just pivot a little to make other people in the room more comfortable and at ease. Often I've witnessed my peers who come from a Sikh background who are incredible leaders with incredible ideas. And what they will do is, in spaces of leadership, they will make themselves smaller and more palatable, which was a survival tactic, I will say, in order to create space in those rooms, at those tables, and then to feel valued in that space, that you have something to contribute to that conversation, to that strategy, or to whatever that project might be. But the side effects and the consequences that come as a result of that, they hurt us internally. And we were just talking about mental health, and a lot of my conversation will be looking at mental health and how Sikhi and Gurbani provides us those solutions. Excuse me. So my presentation or my talk with you is about forging the psyche of future leaders. And that for me comes through the pathway of Kirtan. It's almost like this technology that we were given was what enabled the psyche of the Sikhs that we read about in history to become so incredible. When we read a lot of these Sakhiyan, these stories from history, when I was a child, I wondered if they were the same as like comic books. Like there's some fiction in here. These have been exaggerated. Like, did they really have superpowers? You know, were our Sikh warriors from history almost like some of the characters from Street Fighter? Those were the references that I was comparing to when I was growing up. And you almost create this fantasy vision in your mind, and there's nothing wrong with that. But as we start to experience life and as we get older in our bodies, we start to recognize that there has to be a more tangible connection to what we're reading, what we're being told, and what we're experiencing in life. And we're told from a young age that Sikhi is that roadmap to your life. But I wonder how many of you have actually been instructed on that roadmap and how it gets you from point A to B or from B to C, and what those practical steps actually are. For me, I didn't have that. I didn't have somebody to break it down for me and give me that instruction. I had to do a lot of digging and relentless research and trial and error to figure out how this actually works and if it's real or if everything I've been told is just an exaggeration and it's fiction. And luckily for me, I found that it's not fiction. There are practical ways and there are very tangible ways in how we can fortify our mind and carve our psyche to precision. And it's just about having access to the right tools. So, Ruchi, could you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Oh, okay. Yes, so for me, Kirtan is a huge part of my life. And in this photograph on my back, you see an instrument, which is the rabab. The rabab, which was blessed to the Sikh community by Guru Nanak, known as the Sikh rabab or the Farandiya rabab. I've wanted to live the path of the Sant Sipahi. I've wanted to embody that. That's my goal. And I'm still on that path to figure out what that means for me. I've spent 20 years of my career researching and trying to understand the power and the mechanics of Kirtan and what that does for us on a mind, body, and soul level, and what that means for us in our human experience every day. So yeah, that was just a fun image I wanted to share. And I guess you've already had a bio read out about me, so you've got my background there. I wanted to take us through a little breathing exercise. We can do this without the music. That's the next slide, Vijay. And this is something that you can use as a tool. And I want to make sure that I can give you guys practical tools in this session. Whatever your path is in life, whether you're a parent that is more than a full-time job, whether you're working a full-time job and being a parent, which is a lot of people that I know, whether you're a student or you're still figuring it out, it doesn't matter where you are in your journey. These tools are for everybody. We all feel overwhelmed. We all feel stressed at times. We all feel sometimes lost. We don't have the answers and we don't know what to do. And that's okay. It's okay to not know. We don't have to pretend. We don't have to pull a rabbit out of a hat every single time. Sometimes we can remember that being in stillness is more than enough. And stillness doesn't mean inaction. Stillness doesn't mean being lazy. Stillness doesn't mean being irresponsible. Those are different terms. Stillness is a place of consciousness. And if we think about Sehaj, it mimics on stillness. It's patience, and we're going to go into that afterwards. But being still is a process of tapasya, or of meditation, which is like our poor Western translation of the word. It means to be present. Now, if we're constantly thinking about our past, it's going to cause us feelings of sadness or remorse often. When we're looking too much and trying to plan into the future and we're stressed about how we're going to make things work, that's going to create a lot of overwhelm. Both of these types of feelings are going to leave you in a space of emotional chaos. So in that moment, the best thing that you can do for yourself is come back into presence, come back into your body and into this moment right now. So I would like to invite you all to join me in this process. Wherever you are, just sit back into your seat. When I say relax your body, I want you to almost imagine your body melting into the seat that you're sitting. That means let your shoulders drop a little. You might want to exhale. And as you exhale, just imagine your body feeling a little bit lighter. Relax your arms and your hands. And let your body just be at ease. Let your breath just settle however it wants to. Close your eyes. And when you breathe in, if you're able to breathe in and out from your nose, then keep that pattern. And as you take your inhale into your body, I want you to inflate your belly. So bring the breath into your belly at a nice slow pace. And then when you exhale out of the nose, it's almost as if your belly button is trying to touch your spine from the inside. And I want you to stay with that breathing. When you inhale, in your mind, I want you to say Vahe. And as you exhale, you say Guru. At a nice, slow pace. We're not in a rush. We're trying to come back into the remembering of the body. And we're trying to build a synchronization, a reconnection. So Vahe, as you inhale and you inflate the belly. Guru, as you slowly exhale and let the breath release from the body. And as you get comfortable into this, let your shoulders drop even further. Let your body be more at ease and use the power of that exhale. Every time you exhale, let your body melt a little more. Let it get a little softer, a little lighter. Mm. Yes, Okay, and whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. And if you feel comfortable and you want to share in the chat just how that makes you feel, how that made you feel. Coming back into presence is one of the more challenging things that we have to navigate in our day-to-day lives because of how hyperstimulated we are, how overwhelming everything is, the constant pressure to do and to produce and to just be all of these different people and wear all of these different hats at the same time is very overwhelming. We're not built for this, we're not designed this way, which means we have to adapt and make sure that we have the right tools to give us the sustenance that we need so that not only can we endure, but we can thrive in these environments. And it is possible. It is possible. And I say that because we have the evidence. We have the evidence in Sikh history. If for a moment you were to imagine the circumstances that our ancestors had to survive and had to experience, where literally your life was on the line, that in modern day terminology is extreme trauma. And I don't think there's a measure for what that would be. We're seeing glimmers of it in the world we're living now, when we're seeing how inexpensive life can be when it's mistreated. And this is a tale from history that's been relived time and time again. But what does that mean for us as humans now as well as back then? What sort of resilience would it take to exist in that environment, to be a warrior in that environment, to be a sant in that environment, to be a human in that environment? What does that require of us, and how fathomable is that? When you are overwhelmed with your own emotions, you don't have capacity. There's no room to think so deeply about others in that way because we're so distracted with everything that's going on inside of us. But imagine if you had space inside of your body and in your mind to actually think about that. What would that mean for you? What would that mean for how you show up for yourself? And then what could it mean for how you show up for the world around you? And that for me is what's inspiring about our gurus, about our ancestors, and about Sikh history, because they showed us that resilience comes at a cost. It comes at the cost of doing the work. And the work means you. The most important thing for you to work on every single day is yourself. Because if you are off center, you are of no use, let alone of service to anybody around you, whether that's your family, your community, your colleagues, or the world, whatever it may be. The best thing that you can do is invest in yourself and to know what that means for you and the practices that allow you to thrive in your everyday being. So we're going to explore a little bit more into that space of Sikh history. And I want to ask you, what does Sikh leadership mean to you? It can be anything. What does that mean to you? And if you can throw it into the chat, that would be great. I appreciate the comments after I'm not going to call it a meditation, but the little exercise that we did of presence. So what does Sikh leadership mean to you? Again, no right or wrong answers. I just want to know what it is that we're all thinking. Are there any images that come to mind, any personalities that come to mind, any values or examples that you may have been taught or told about, or maybe even that you've witnessed in good Sikh leadership? Sikh leadership means seva, complete submission to the Guru. That's an interesting one. Consistency in action as well as faith. Okay, I like these. Viji, could we go to the next slide, please? these are things that I want you to think about. You can write them down. I don't need you to share them. You can if you wish to, just to think out loud together. But understanding what Sikh leadership means to you. I like the unwavering commitment. Devotion to the care of yourself and others. Ooh, yes, that gets a gold star, because that's exactly what I was going to say. In my life, I've witnessed a lot of people, my elders, people that I respected and that I still respect, step into the space of leadership, not because they were desperate to be in the limelight, but because there was nobody else to do that work. There was nobody else stepping forward into that space. And that, for me, is what leadership means. It means doing the hard thing when nobody else is willing to, and being the one that you're waiting for. So not sitting there and delegating that responsibility to somebody else to come in and save you one day, but upskilling yourself, recognizing what it would take from you to actually contribute into that space, because you're the one that's being allowed to witness that gap. So if there's a gap in communication in any space, how are you able to contribute to that? And if you're not the right person for it, are you able to be resourceful to connect the right person to that space so that whatever work is needing to be done can get done in the most efficient way possible? Leadership means accountability. It means being able to take responsibility for your own actions and oftentimes for the actions of others, which is what happens in team spaces. And that's a normal part of how these things work and how they're structured. But if you were to ask yourself honestly, and you don't have to answer this to me, but just to yourself, just to think about, do you actually take responsibility? And it's a hard question. When I've asked this in the past to folks that I'm coaching and working with, it causes a lot of discomfort. If in any situation in your life you feel rage, hate, anger, resentment towards any other person, it means there's a component of you that is not taking responsibility for yourself. This is not to say that your feelings are not valid, but it means in order to get the complete picture, you have to include yourself into that space. And you have to recognize the parts of yourself that are being forced to grow. It's often that discomfort where you don't want to grow, you don't want to look at the ugly thing, you don't want to do the hard thing because you're so exhausted already, you're so overwhelmed, it's too much. So it's easier to have a scapegoat. And oftentimes this is what it is. So if you're not able to take actual, real, raw responsibility for yourself, accountability becomes challenging then. So, excuse me, 1 second. I would encourage you to do a little bit of self-discovery in that space, to connect with what responsibility means to you and how you connect with that on a real level, and being brutally honest with yourself, not just saying the nice things or pretending that everything's good because it feels easier. If you're able to recognize it in one space and then you're able to work on it, you'll notice that that will have a positive ripple effect on everything else that you do. And all of a sudden, the things that feel burdening and heavy don't feel so heavy anymore, because now what you've done is you've reorganized them and they don't have that control over you anymore. You recognize that those challenges and those spaces of discomfort are actually opportunities for you to grow. And my reasoning behind giving you this perspective is because the word Sikh means student. It means being a student in every moment, not just in a classroom or in a formal educational setting. That is not what the Gurus meant when they created this community. It means to be a learner in every moment. The moments that make you uncomfortable are the ones that are going to teach you the most. The question is, are you willing to show up for them? And that's what's hard. Because in those really difficult moments, the ones where somebody's pushing you over the edge, whether it's road rage or, you know, there's a lot of aggravation that happens in supermarkets here in America. It's pretty strange, but yes, all of those moments that challenge you, are you able to find your stillness in that moment, in the heat of the fire? Can you see and think clearly when everything around you is trying to push you to react, to present a part of yourself that is not true to who you actually are? In that moment, who you are matters. So recognize that. And next time such a situation arises, and they will, many will, because that is what life does, and that is what life is. I will encourage you to use that breathing that I shared with you, where you're breathing into the belly, you're coming back into your body. You don't have to stand there and then quickly sit on the ground and close your eyes and, you know, try to relax your body. You don't have to do all of those steps. Simply bringing your breath back into your belly, silently inside your body. Whether you're chanting Vaheguru, whether you remember that or not in that moment, you can do that afterwards, it's okay. But the most important thing is reconnecting your mind back with your body so that your mind doesn't just run off on a train of its own. When you can come back into your body, breathe into your belly and extend that exhale, all of a sudden you're going to feel that you've got more space to deal with the situation. And this person or these circumstances right in front of you in that moment, in the heat of the fire, will no longer activate you to the same intensity. And you'll have more clarity, not just in your vision, but in how you choose to respond. And notice those words, how you choose to respond, not how you react. If you're just reacting to the situation, that means somebody else has the remote control to you, to your emotions, and you don't have the power over you. But if you are stepping into a space of leadership, knowing how to channel your energy, not pretending, not just like holding it in and causing yourself more distress because you're trying to figure it out and you're just like holding on to all of this tension in your body, that if you do that, it's going to remain in your body. It's going to remain in your fascia. It's going to remain in your cells. It's going to remain in your mind as well. Your brain will start to think that this is the correct way to respond in any other situation that mimics these emotions. That is not the message or the teachings that you want to give to your brain and to your body. So remembering to be in ease in that space of distress is essential so that you can navigate it with precision and with clarity. That is your first step to becoming a leader. Because if you can lead your own emotions, if you can lead your own emotions in a moment of chaos, you're already winning. Those small steps, they make big differences. Riji, can we go to the next slide, please? So if we're talking about Sikhi in the workplace, what does this mean to you? How are you already engaging or connecting these two? If you wish to unmute and share, you're welcome. If you want to drop it in the chat, I'd just like to know what this means to you. And if you have a connection or if you don't have a connection, it's something that you're looking to do and you just don't know how to bring it together. Just so I can gauge where everybody is. Auntie Viji, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, hi. So for me, like Sikhi in the workplace is just trying to walk on the path of the gurus, like in like different situations, like you know, like the gurus like tell us to, like, you know, like one thing they tell us is to stay like away from like growth, or like that's like one example. Sometimes like at work, like, or even like in school, like I might just like, you know, feel like, oh, this is not right, like, you know, that this is like injustice done to me, or I might feel like, you know, things like certain circumstances might happen where I might generally get like upset, but then I try to like remind myself that, you know, there's a bigger picture to this, and, you know, as a Sikh, especially like as a Sikh that has like tries to like has his case and like wears a dastar, I'm like representing something bigger than me because because I'm basically representing like like the Guru's image in terms of like Sikhi. So if I lose my cool or if I behave in a way that's like not the way a Sikh should behave like. So I'm not just letting myself down, but I'm letting down like the Sikh bunt in a way. So I try to like I constantly try to remind myself that to always behave in a way like even when certain situations arise, to like keep that in mind that I have to behave in a way that's in accordance with the Guru Sikhi. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I call that Gurmat clarity when we're trying to operate from the lens of the Guru. But at the same time, I want to acknowledge that that can feel like a lot of pressure also. And it's got positive and negative to it. Positive is that when we're looking at it from this lens, it almost, well, for me, and I can't speak for you, but please do let me know. For me, what that responsibility does, it almost gives me the strength that I need to navigate that situation because I have a higher accountability, I have a higher responsibility that I choose to serve. Not that I have to serve, but I make that choice. And I want to do my best in that space. It doesn't mean I'm always perfect. It doesn't mean I don't make mistakes. I absolutely do. But that I also have the integrity to go back and correct those mistakes or to acknowledge that, okay, I needed to do this better and I shouldn't have behaved that way. And I will make that active effort to make those improvements. How does it feel for you?
Yeah, same way. I just feel like like I'm held accountable to like a higher power. Like like I'm not just like even if someone is not seeing, like even if my director is not seeing something, or even if someone like above me is not seeing it, I always know that like as a Sikh, I'm being like held account. Like I'm answerable to like the gurus. So I always make sure that I try to conduct myself in that way and make sure that I carry myself in that way because I feel like Sikhs in general, like the gurus made us as leaders in general. So I feel like every Sikh is like a leader if he follows the path of Sikhi. So as a leader, just in itself, if you carry yourself like a leader, you have to be able to understand that you're held to a higher standard than just like the regular population. Because you are like a guru Sikh, so you are in a way like a leader. So you can't get caught up in like the things that other people might get caught up in. You can't get caught up in that. So that's it.
Okay, I agree with that. I agree that it gives us almost a parameter or guidelines for accountability. The downside of it can be that if we don't have the internal fortitude, it can be very overwhelming and it's a lot of pressure to carry. And we end up pretending or faking it a lot of times. And I've seen peers of mine who have conformed to that pressure. And on an individual level, it becomes very challenging for them to manage their own mental health and their emotions. So I just want to acknowledge that. I want to name that. And I want to say that make sure if you're in that space that you are also looking after yourself and your own emotions too. Hopefully some of the tools that I share with you today will help you in that space. But I have some different perspectives on our common Sikh narratives. So Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Hankar. From my understanding of them, they are not negative and they are not positive. They just are. They are just energies that are there. And our responsibility is to understand them and to understand how much they influence us and then come into communication with them. You can't live your life without them. These are forces of nature that are already, implanted inside of our bodies as the process of Qudrat. So if we're trying to now dismember them from who we are, if we're saying, I need to completely eradicate my anger and disassociate from it, I need to ignore any feelings I have of desire or of greed or of attachment. And it's almost like you're taking away your permission to being human, and it gets confusing. So I think for me personally, there's a lot of these things that need to be reframed. And once we're able to see it from a different lens, all of a sudden it becomes very practical. Because if you're thinking about an instrument of any form, think of a knife, for example. That's an instrument. A knife in the hand of a chef has a different purpose. A knife in the hand of somebody who's, you know, I think you can imagine what I'm trying to say. I just want to be mindful of everybody in the space. Okay, so a knife in the hand of somebody who wants to cause harm. They have two different outcomes, but the outcome is determined by the person who is holding the instrument, not by the instrument itself. Therefore, lust, anger, greed, attachment, ego, they're just instruments. How we are wielding them is what determines the outcome. How well we understand them will determine the outcome, and it will determine how we connect with them. And if they control us or if we control them, this is just, it's another person to get to know. It's not an enemy. It's not a friend. It's just another person who roams in your sphere, and you need to understand how much influence they have over you. So it's important, because when we're thinking about anger, this is probably one of the most common emotions that we all navigate, especially at work. Anger comes as a form of frustration, disappointment, many other things can lead to anger. And sometimes it can control us to a point where we're behaving in ways that we're not proud of, but we feel it's justified because somebody wronged us. If you can't process what's gone on in that situation, in that scenario, it means that this anger is going to now control you, not just in this situation, because it will seep into other components of your life and your personality. They are all overpowering forces. Once you have them unleashed and there's no control over them, there's no knowing over them. It's like an untrained dog. It's just going to wreak havoc. But once the dog is trained, all of a sudden it's your best friend. So it's doing that work, understanding how much of a role these energies play in your everyday life. And if these are things you're struggling with, then, you can reach out to me, and you can reach out to other spaces. Like Benji was saying with Umeed, these are all platforms that can help you to navigate those emotions, because we understand it's not easy to do by yourself. We had to do it. We had to push through and just like white knuckle it. But now we're in spaces of more abundance where we can share our resources and share our hearts as well. And in workplaces, I think there's many forms of challenge that comes. Identity is one of them. Not feeling accepted, especially when you're wearing Sikhi Sarup or Bana of any form, your case, you're the star, all of those things, or even just your name and who you are, the color of your skin, all of these things are reasons for you to be treated as an other. And it's unfortunate, but they have impacts on our hearts and on how we feel, on our mental well-being and our well-being in general. But if you are able to always come back to that space of stillness and that true knowing of who you are, these spaces of discomfort all of a sudden don't bother you anymore, and you're able to navigate them. Not where you're ignoring them, not where you're pretending that this isn't happening, but you're able to like cut through it and walk right through it with precision, because you are now in a space of mental clarity. And this is the power of the man. This is why Guru talks so much about the man, that when you can understand and communicate and sharpen your connection with your man, all of a sudden life becomes a lot easier. The challenge is that though, how do you get to the space of communicating with your man? And we're going to go into that in a second. Just to like talk about quickly workplace wellness. This is a new workplace wellness and well-being is like a new area of interest that we're seeing globally over the last couple of years, where employers have finally begun to care about their employees. This was not common practice like more than a decade ago. People were just there to be hamsters on the wheel, And because you are being paid for your time, therefore you must comply and you must do, and nobody cares about your emotions or your well-being or any of those things. And it was all in the invisible language of everything. It was never explicitly said, but it was just known that this is how it is. You can speak to your parents and they will affirm this, and you'll hear about the many challenges that they've had to navigate just to exist in those spaces, let alone succeed in them. So now when we're looking at workplace well-being, more people are doing things like the hot topics, like the mindfulness at work. They have their meditation hours, or they're doing employee well-being retreats, and it's all as a result of high stress. So because we don't know how to process the emotion of stress in our bodies, then our cortisol is going out of whack and everything is happening inside and everything is overwhelming and so stimulating that we don't know how to regulate ourselves again. So everybody's trying to cultivate healthy work environments, and even the sense of community now, which was unheard of again, like just even a few years ago. To have the sense of community in workplace, I think it's really important. And these are, for me, deep Sikh values, because we're talking about Sangat. That's what building community is coming together and understanding, who we are as people and how we connect with each other. Creating healthy work spaces that are not toxic require compassion. I think somebody put that into the comments earlier on. Compassion is a practice. It's not something you can take for granted, and you can't assume it to be common sense. So I think, what was the thing? My brother said this to me once. The thing about common sense is that it's not common. So never assume that everybody has the same information as you or the same values as you, in fact. And it doesn't mean it's your job to teach everybody. So please know that you don't have to take on that load of work to say, okay, I have to teach everybody about Sikhi and about compassion and about Sangat and about Seva. No, you just have to be it. You just have to do your part, show up with those values and have the impact on yourself. Wherever you have capacity and you want to share, go for it. But don't feel that that's your work to do. But just to make those connections of Sikh values in the workplace, compassion is a huge one. In those spaces that feel frustrating, where, maybe you're being treated unfairly, maybe somebody's taken your idea, maybe, there's a whole variety of maybes that could be on the table. But if you can be compassionate, firstly to yourself, okay? Firstly to you, to recognize that it's okay. It's okay. And in line with the values of Sikhi, that this is part of Guru's hukam. This is how it's meant to be. And ask yourself the question, what about this situation is challenging for me? Does it hurt my ego that somebody else took my idea and ran with it, and now they're being rewarded for that? Why does it make me feel that way? Can I be at peace with this? What would it take for me to be at peace with this? Having that internal dialogue will first allow you to settle those emotions. And then, if there is the step of justice that you need to take to acknowledge the situation, if it's a pattern, if it's toxic, if it's bullying, if it's harassment, then you'll have the capacity to take that action, to have that conversation, but with more space and more articulation. Because walking into HR or even running in there crying, which is okay, and being kind of, undone, let's say emotionally, it can be difficult for the other person to grasp what you're trying to say. So if you want to bring change through a negative situation, my suggestion is always find space in yourself first before you create more overwhelm and more added layers of stress onto your situation. Because the moment you go there, you have to make a report, you have to talk through every single detail. That could be too much in that very, very same moment. So give yourself space first, but recognize what compassion means for you. Do you activate compassion for yourself every day? What I mean by that is, how critical are you of yourself? I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not fast enough. I'm not this enough. I'm not that enough. That's internal criticism. I don't like the way that I look. My body's like this. my face is like this, my hair is like that, I don't fit in, my skin color's like this, I'm not accepted. But it's not about being accepted by others, it's about being accepted by yourself. Are you able to embrace every part of who you are in your fullness, in your greatness, and in your beauty? That's where compassion begins. And once you can feel that, it's no longer something you have to think about. It will extend as a part of you. It's not an action that you do, it's just something that you are. Okay, I'm going to run through. I think I've gone way over time, and I apologize for that.
Don't apologize. Take your time.
Thank you. You guys are awesome. Okay. Yes, just for the workspace, a couple of points that I just wanted to hit was the personal well-being, which we've talked about, the mental health, work-life balance. That is another challenge of how you show up as a human. So making sure that you find a balance that serves you, and work isn't just your the everything that you are and that you do. You need to have space to be a human in this process, especially if we're coming at it from the lens of Sikhi. Who are you as a human? What's important to you? Your work is not your identity. You are your identity. So think about the things that are important to you and make sure that you're engaging with them in your everyday life, because that is how you maintain that balance. It can't just be the one thing you do once a week and then 6 days a week you're doing work, because that is not a balance. So we need to make sure that both sides of the scale are equally fulfilled. You have your work that you do, that you clock in and you clock out for, and then you come home and you're a human. Who are you in that space, and who do you choose to be? Who do you want to be? Adding in the components and the activities that allow you to thrive in the being of you. So ask yourself, what's important to me? What new things do I want to try? What do I want to explore? And then trying to lean into that a little bit if you're still trying to figure out who you are in this current era of your life. If we could skip to the next slide, please. So this is the juicy stuff. This is what I'm here to share with you. All of that stuff, that was like the trailer. This is everything. This is everything. And I wouldn't be here without Kirtan and the technology that our gurus gave to us. Kirtan for me is not something that I engage with just when I go to the Gurdwara, or to feel good, or to listen to before I have an exam or something really crazy, right? Or when I'm trying to barter and bargain with God. It's not how I engage with Kirtan. When I was much earlier on in my journey, in my late teens, I was trying to understand, when we talk about Guru Granth Sahib Maharaj being the living Guru, what does that mean? I got yelled at a lot for asking this question. I got yelled at a lot. I was accused of being disrespectful and all sorts of other things, like, "Eh nahi puchi da, eh nahi keh sakde tusi." And I was like, but why? I'm asking a question. If we, for me, the logic, the math wasn't mathing. We are students. That's what Sikh means. Therefore, we must seek answers. That means we have questions that need answers to be provided. So I was just asking a question and not trying to be disrespectful, but saying that in my brain, my childlike brain, which is still like a child, I don't understand what this means, because I can envision in my mind that if the gurus are in a human form and we're referring to them as living, that makes sense to me. But what does it mean when we're engaging with scripture and we're now referring to scripture as a living body of wisdom? And I couldn't understand it. And at first I got shut down and, like I said, yelled at a lot. And I continued because I needed to find an answer for myself. And it was through the process of my journey that I began to learn, through some mentors, through some teachers that I engaged with on my journey, that the experience of Shabad in your life is when Guru becomes Angsang. And that is when you are in connection with the living Guru. And I was like, oh, wow, that's awesome. I want that. I want to do that thing. And it made sense. And then unraveled the space of Kirtan. I didn't have a background in Kirtan. I didn't have any musical knowledge or training. In fact, the complete opposite. And I didn't learn Kirtan to become a musician or to become a professional Kirtani, which I am not, by the way. So I don't claim any of those titles. I'm just a Sikh on my journey who loves Kirtan. And it led me on the path of understanding the practices that the gurus used, because that was what it was for me in terms of where we are now as a Qawm. I don't see the level of excellence and the level of leadership that inspires me. And I had that as a criticism for my elders. And this is when I learned about self-accountability, that I can't ask them to do something they're not willing to do, that they're not informed about, or that they're not inspired to do. But if that's where my inspiration is feeding me, then I need to upskill myself to do that. Because if we need it, then surely other people in the Qawm are feeling that same hunger and they're doing the same work in their corners, which is visible. That's why we have so many great organizations internationally doing that work. But it was trying to understand, what does excellent leadership mean to me? And I didn't have any visible examples in front of me, around me, in the world that I experienced in England growing up. And that's not as a criticism to anybody who was doing work back then. It's saying that it wasn't good enough for me. I needed more. I didn't need the bare minimum. I wanted excellence, and that's what would inspire me. So I kept going into that space of leadership and reading into Sikh history, reading about the gurus. That was where I saw the levels of like exemplary leadership, where there was fairness, there was justice, there was love, there was compassion, and there was also courage in action too. So that balance is what I aspired to. And looking at what made the Sikhs in history so incredible, what was the common denominator, and what were the things that changed over time and what didn't change, what I kept finding was Kirtan. It was there as a continuous thread, not just in the spaces of worship, but even on the battlefield. Even on the battlefield. And if we think about warriors, they have so much artillery and other things that they have to carry, even on their own backs or on horseback, however they're moving. To imagine them taking musical instruments to the battlefield seems a little bit wild. That what was the connection? What was the purpose? There has to be more of a purpose. And that is what put me onto my path of going deeper into this space. So the traditional string instruments, one which you can see here painted, is the taus. The taus was created by Guru Gobind Singh Ji, taus and the dilruba. And these string instruments, they have a fluidity in their voice, which is, I would say, like our human expression. There's no break in how we laugh or how we cry. It's a continuous flow of expression, and that can be mimicked and captured on string instruments, which is why it makes sense that the Gurus gave us string instruments. But more important than that is that Gurbani is written in Rag, and what we don't get taught about or access to is the emotions behind the Rag. We now have more access in the last, after 3 decades of reviving and researching and reclaiming in this space. You'll see the instruments more frequently: rubab, dilruba, saranda, sarangi, taus, jori. These are the instruments that belong to Sikh heritage. You wouldn't have seen these so frequently just even a few decades before. You would only have seen the harmonium. So what we don't have access to, as I mentioned, is the connection of emotions to Rag. And this was the game changer for me, is understanding that every Rag has the musical component, but has an emotional component as well. And emotions that we experience as humans every day. So this gave me a new way to reorganize all of my emotions that I was just carrying. I was like carrying them in a bag, dragging it along through my life and just adding more to them. And it was getting heavier and heavier. Once I understood this, and I understood that every single Rag, and there's 60 of them, 60, not 31. We'll save that conversation for a different time. these 60 rags, they mirror our human emotions. So when we're going through the process of listening to a rag that replicates the feeling we have in this moment, all of a sudden you've got a vehicle to release that emotion. You do this already. What am I talking about? When you're listening to songs after a heartbreak and you're like trying to make yourself cry even more, you're doing the same thing. You want to release because it's so overwhelming, but you want to feel that somebody sees you. You want to feel that you relate to what's being said, which is why the lyrics are so important to the songs that you choose. The same thing when you're in joy or, whatever your song choices are, pay attention to them. You'll notice that there's something about it that reflects your mood or your emotions in that moment. Now, if we bring that over to the spiritual realm, when we do that with Shabad and with Kirtan, what you're doing is you're processing your human emotion and allowing it to elevate you in a spiritual capacity. And that is powerful. That is powerful. It not only sets you free from that trauma, but it creates space in a different way and allows you to cultivate your mind and your thoughts with more precision.
Jasveer, Manji, I am so sorry to cut this off. I really, truly hate to. This is absolutely beautiful, but I do want to gently flag that we are at 2:10 p.m. So if you want to wrap up a final thought, that we'd love to hear it. And thank you again so much for your time.
Thank you. So yes, I was just wrapping up, but these are just some examples on this slide of the moods of some of the rags. So you can go on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, or whatever, and if you're finding a shabad in this rag, and these are the emotions, like any of these emotions resonate, just hold that feeling in your body as you're listening, and then listen to it again, and now try to sing it the second time around, and just notice what that does for you. So these are just some of the tools that help me, but the conversation around Kirtan and wellness is what I'm researching for my PhD, to go deeper into the science and the neuroscience of it too. So that will be an ongoing conversation, and I would love to stay in touch, and you guys can connect with me through the United Sikhs. If anybody wants to stay in touch or has questions, I will give the floor to you.
Thank you so much. This was absolutely gorgeous. Would you mind dropping, if you could drop some contact information into the chat as well? We're more than happy to facilitate communications on our end too, but that would be helpful as well. Thank you again so much for your time. And
Thank you so much for
with
having me.
that, of course.
Thank you.
Before you go, Kanji, I wanted to open up the floor to anyone attending. If they had any questions or any comments, if they wanted to add something. On my behalf, Benji, that was life-changing.
Truly.
Especially, don't make me cry, but forcing me to calm down and take a breath was something that I needed. So I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. And I'm so grateful that you touched on Anurag, because I 100% agree with you that it's not at the level that it once was, and it's really heartbreaking. And I think our Qom doesn't really understand the impact that Rag really has on our lives. And it's really sad to see, all of these Bollywood tunes and, the catchiness. But, I mentioned I have 3 boys. I'm trying to change it in my own life. My kids are completely interested in Rag. I mean, our day begins during and after with music, and I think it's really, really important. So especially when it comes to spiritual wellness, it's something that we have to lean on. So thank you once again, and I will connect with you personally as well.
Thank you, Benji. I appreciate that.
I think Indrajit had a quick comment or question as well.
Yes, actually, I just had this question. I was watching this video by Jagrat Singh. I'm sure you know who he is, like, or who he was. Like he was like this one person growing up in like New York,
He like he had a great like impact on me and helped me so much to not only better understand Sikhi but to get closer to Sikhi. I was watching this video recently, and he talked about that the original Sikh instrument, like the harmonium, apparently is like a very recent introduction in the whole like kirtan. Like it's like a post British era introduction, and that the original Sikh instrument used to do kirtan that could actually play a different variety of sounds that are meant to connect us with like the divine was actually the rabab, and you don't see them anywhere at the gurdwaras now.
Yes, Jagraj Singh was incredible and a very dear brother of mine. We shared many conversations, and his wife, Sukhmani, she actually plays Dilruba and she learns Rag Kirtan. She started learning with us like a very long time ago, but she's continued her journey, which is wonderful. And yes, you're correct in that information. The harmonium is a more modern intervention that came in during the colonial era. And the awareness is simply that, yes, there's things that evolve over time and things that happen through history, but the question on us is what steps we're taking to reclaim. And as I said, every step of responsibility begins with us individually. If we want to see change in the community, we have to bring that change into our own lives. If we want to see rababs, taus, dilruba, sarande played in the gurdwara, then we need to be willing to pick them up too. So Kirtan was given to the Sangat. Kirtan was the gift given to every Sikh by the Guru. And I would encourage you all to start to explore that path. If you need guidance, you can reach out to me. I would be more than happy to be of service.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Thank you.
And with that, I want to welcome our next guest, Dr. Dipinder Singh. Are you here?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming as well. I feel that your session is going to be beautifully complementary to everything Jasveer Benji had to say. To introduce our next speaker, Dr. Dipinder Singh, whose session is entitled From Chaos to Clarity, Managing Emotions and Coping with Stress, the Gurbani Way. Dr. Dipinder Singh is a dedicated mental health professional with a compassionate, collaborative approach to care, who has a deep commitment to supporting individuals, couples, families, and adolescents, which I find to be very pertinent and interesting because, early intervention with the teachings of Sikhi, as well as introducing, Sikhism and policy and tolerance at a young age. I find that incredibly interesting. Dr. Dipinder Singh works closely with clients to address a range of psychological challenges, including anxiety, depression, trauma, grief, ADHD, OCD, bipolar disorder, chronic pain, etc. And grounded in both scientific knowledge and holistic practice, Dr. Singh's approach integrates spirituality as a path to self-awareness and healing, viewing spirituality as an inward journey to invite individuals to connect with their authentic selves and cultivate a deeper, more resilient relationship with their inner world. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Singh.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I appreciate the efforts done by United Sikhs, and it's an honor to be here for this annual Sikh Summit. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and this subject is deeply personal to me, and although it's universally very relevant, and it's like the crossroads, intersection where Sikh spirituality meets the mental wellness. And before I start, I want to extend my thanks to Jasveer Kaurji, because we all are her big fans, and the biggest fan is my daughter. And she was mentioning to me that, can you extend my regards to her? And I said, I'll try, because Jasveer is a celebrity, but I will certainly give it a try. And I'm lucky that she's here and I'm able to. Thank you so much. And my topic is From Chaos to Clarity, Managing Our Emotions and Coping with the Stress, the Gurbani Way. you all are here, and your presence says something. It shows your zeal and describes your desire to contribute to the growth of the community socially and politically. And the activism, this is how I see, because you all are engaged socially and politically. But my topic will be, my approach will be mental health and activism with, like, approach will be self-care activism too. Because if we are healthy, we'll be able to serve our community well. So we'll explore how Sikh teachings offer profound guidance to navigate the storm of emotions and stress. And we will try to understand the topic under few subheads. First will be, what is mental chaos? Then how is this chaos described in Guru Granth Sahib? And third would be, how does this chaos impact us? Then fourth would be comparative study of the chaos, or the cause of chaos with regards to different religious approaches and cultural components. And then the path to clarity through Gurbani. So the mental chaos, what is mental chaos? Let's try and imagine a workspace that is cluttered, that is disorganized, paper everywhere, wires tangled, nothing in the place. How would you feel? What would be your feelings in this space? And now imagine that this chaos isn't on our desk, but in our mind. Mind filled with racing thoughts. Racing thoughts means, let's imagine what is the state of when we have racing thoughts, jumping from one topic to another. In my mind, I am thinking of the work and my situation at work and the work that I have to do, many emails I have to respond to, sessions I have to take, and then what my employer's expectations are, what peers' expectations are. And then I jump on to what my partner's expectations are, what they expect, and what do I have to do to pay the bills, to bring food to the table, or relationships, what the friends are doing, the parties they are going to with, and I am not being invited, or someone backstabbing me, or then worrying on to something else, extended family and those dynamics. And this is constantly going on in our mind, like disorganized workspace in my mind, feeling overwhelmed. And then when someone tries to talk to me, then my responses are, I do not respond. I practically react. Emotional volatility, like aggressive outbursts, getting irritated easily. So that is the situation of mental chaos. It's like a state where, although everything is fine, but I feel anxious, emotionally unstable. I have trouble sleeping, trouble concentrating. Every discussion leads to an argument in the relationships, cycle of stress and fatigue. So can anyone relate with this state of mind? Is it uncommon or it's common? Or do we all relate with it?
I'll relate with it, of course.
Yeah. Probably yes. So let's see what Guru Granth Sahib says about this. Guru Nanak Dev Ji used a powerful imagery, how being in this state of chaos impacts our behavior and vice versa. State of emotional chaos and its relation with behaviors, and behaviors, how they impact our emotions or feelings. So he wrote an amazing Shabad. It says, Ek swan, doe swani naal, palke ponke sada bayal. It's like swan means dog, and doe swani, two other dogs accompanying this dog. So greed is one dog, and two other dogs are falsehood and deception. Palke ponke sada bayal. The minute I open my eyes, I see them barking at the dawn. It's like sometimes when I wake up in the morning, and if I have some thoughts regarding what had happened previously, or thoughts about my day, or if I could get this, it's like this reminds me of what Guru Nanak says. I'll tell my mind, hey, have you already started barking at me? So, palke panke sada bayal, mukh. So how do they do it? Mukh ninda akhan din raat. With my mouth, I speak slander day and night. Parkar johi neet sanat. I spy on the houses of others. What's happening in their house? What's going on there? This shows my mental chaos. And neet sanat means that I am so worthless and low life. Kam, Krodh, Tan, Vasai, Chandal. These are the Chandals. These are the outcasts that live in me. My behaviors are the outcasts. My feelings that are byproduct of my thoughts are the outcasts, like Kam, Krodh, lust, and anger. They live in me, they dwell in me, they reside in me. And Tanak Roop Raha Karta. Like I live like a wild hunter. The minute I wake up, and then my behaviors throughout the day, and if I'm mindfully conscious of my behaviors, it will be like I'll be able to see that wild hunter within me wants to cut everyone, wants to kill everyone for my own personal greed and falsehoods and deception. So this is the mental chaos. And then another Shabad, Jaako Chinta Bahut Bahut Dehi Vyapay Rog. Grast Kutamb Plate Deya Kade Harak Kade Sog. Now we all know that if we are anxious, that it's gonna lead us to the diseases, physical health disorders. This is what Guru is telling us. Jaako Chinta Bahut Bahut. When anxiety is great and overwhelming, the body is affected by disease. Dehi Vyapay Rog. And Grast Kutamb Plate Deya, engrossed in family life, close family and the extended family. It's like the mind swings between joy and sorrow. Jankao chinta bahut bahut dehi vyapay rog. Grast kutamb plate deya kade harak kade sog. So, and there are many more Shabads that would describe our chaotic mind in Guru Granth Sahib, our anxious mind, our depressed minds. And how is this emotional chaos impacting us? It leads to chronic stress. It leads to anxieties. It leads to depression. So there is one concept that either thoughts lead to depression or depression leads to those negative thoughts. Egg came first or hen came first. And the research says that when we have those negative thoughts, they lead us to these diagnoses, depression and anxiety. So having those thoughts, having chaotic mindset would lead to chronic stress, anxiety, depression, and damaged relationships and emotional burnouts, impulsive decisions, negative coping mechanisms such as high-risk behavior, substance use, and disconnect from our divine nature, disconnect from our own consciousness. And what's your opinion? Do we all recognize this struggle? Do we all see that we are struggling? Probably 96% of us do not even recognize that we are struggling. Very few people can recognize, because most of us in a state of pathological denial, we call it, because we have convinced ourselves that there's nothing wrong with me. My behaviors are fine. And my behaviors are because other person is doing this to me. My partner is doing this to me. My parents did this to me. My teachers, my co-workers, my employer, my neighbors, the president of the country, they are all doing this to me. And then God is doing this to me too. So I often say that a fish doesn't even know that he is wet. We don't recognize the stress we carry because to us, it's normal. And Gurbani helps us become aware and helps us to wake up. I'm going to share one Shabad just for the reference. We'll not go into detail. This Shabad is such an amazing Shabad by Bhagat Kabir ji. It's Kyun lijai gad banka pai? How can I conquer this fortress where mind lives? And if United Sikhs and other organizations can actually look into this Shabad, and we can develop such a great approach towards challenging the belief systems, challenging the layers of denial we use to protect ourselves. Kyun lijai gad banka pai? Dover coat or tever khai? Because the mind, the outermost layer is Dover coat, double walls, and the deep mouths that we use around. Like imagine a fort would have khai around it, the moats around it, and generally earlier they would leave some alligators in those mouths so that someone who's trying to enter into the fort would get killed. And then different layers, 5, 25, moh, mad, matsar, adi, parbal, maya, jan greeb ko jor na paunche, kaha karo raguraya. Then the doors, Kaam, Kiwari, Dukh, Sukh, Darwani, Paap, Pun, Darwaja. Have you ever imagined? This is what Kabir ji is saying, that Paap and Pun are darwazes. These are the doors. And they are the guards that are standing there are Dukh, Sukh, Darwani. So, and the closest to the mind, Man Mawasi Raja, is Krodh. Pradhan, Mahabad Dundar, Man Mawasi Raja. So, Secretary of Defense is anger. Anyone tries to touch us, touch our belief system, we fight the person. So, that's how strong this delusion is to protect our own selves. Now coming on to the next part of our discussion, which is understanding the cause of chaos. A comparative study of the cause of chaos. There was a very interesting study that was conducted in United Kingdoms, and the study was published in the British Pain Society Journal. And the title was Suffering and the World Religion, the Search for Meaning in Pain. And they arrived at amazing conclusions. So let's talk about the 7 religions. 4 of them originated from Southeast Asia or Indian subcontinent: Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, and Sikhism. And 3 originated from Middle East. We call it Semitic religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And these 2 type of religions, they have different approach to the cause of chaos, cause of our sufferings. Jainism, Buddhism, and Hinduism, they mention that cause, because in order to arrive at solution, we have to understand the cause. And they say that the cause is past karma, whether in this life, or they talk about the previous lives as well. And what we have done and what we are getting now are the consequences of our own past karmas. And the solution they provide is seeking divine grace, undertaking pilgrimages, or going to the holy places, or participating in sacred rituals, and worshipping God. Although Jainism and Buddhism have a different view about the God, but they would say that let's do dhyana, meditation, or do yogic exercises or postures, and that would lead to inner peace and clarity. So earlier we talked about externalizing, that someone else's behavior is causing me to, because that is a denial, that I am fine, I'm normal. The other person, other people in my life are doing this to me. Similarly, this approach, we call it externalization, something outside of my control, my past behaviors or karmas, or the God is doing this. And solution also is externalization, that I will be seeking divine grace. I'll have to please some God sitting outside in some cloud or some heavens, and that God is going to give me a job, or take care of my sickness, or take care of the chaos that I have in my life. And now talking about Semitic religions, how do they see suffering? They see that suffering is a test from the God that is outside of us, external to us. And it's because of the will of the God, or it's because of the sins we have committed. And solution, because God is doing this or devil is doing this, I have to make an alignment with some external God, like through faith or through prayers, or trusting in God's plan and focusing on that eternal life that I'll be granted after I die. Now, we talked about 6 main religions. And what about Sikhism? Any thought anyone would want to share their thoughts on how Sikhism sees the cause of sufferings?
I think one of the things that
Well, yes,
that
go ahead. I'm
I've
sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
one of the things that I've you know, as a child growing up, you know, heard from, you know, parents is, you know, in the English culture or American culture, Western culture, people are always saying sorry, you know, for one thing or another. And we were always taught, don't do things that, you know, require you to say sorry. Conduct yourself in such a manner.
Amazing.
And I think that from a Sikh perspective, I think this is one of the most beautiful things, is because if you begin there, then you do not need to worry about that aspect of your life, because you are not doing anything that would require you to, you know, apologize or kind of basically make up for your bad behavior, for lack of a better way of putting it. And so you can focus on some of the other beauty of Sikhi, as Jasveer Kaur was, you know, talking about, and that sort of thing. So anyway,
Amazing. Thank you, Amrit.
thank you.
Really appreciate. So we are not externalizing, as this is what I heard, that we are taking ownership and responsibility. Do not do those behaviors that are going to lead us to those consequences. So we are not externalizing. The cause of suffering is internal, and solution is internal as well. Chaos is not because some God is doing this to us or some previous karma, but our own human actions like selfishness, greed, jealousy, and disregard of the hukam or ethical principles or divine laws. Amazing. Thank you so much. And now we come to this part of our discussion, that how can we arrive at clarity through Gurbani. So emotional chaos to the clarity. So I'll start with what is the most important thing in a religion is Naam. And I'm just sharing my views. I may be 100% wrong, but this is how I see. Generally, we see Naam as, although it's like God outside of us, like we all have a name, and that God has a name too. We see Naam as noun. God has a name and we have a name, and the way to remember is saying the name we think is Naam of that Vaheguruji, and God is going to come into our life and fix our issues. Gurbani says, Sansar rogi naam daru mail lage sach bina. The world is sick. Naam is the medicine to cure it. And without this name, the filth, our mind, or this filth sticks to our mind. So what is that filth? Filth is probably these negative virtues we have. Jealousy, hatred, evil intentions, egotism, anger, greed, arrogance, dishonesty, manipulative behaviors. So, and these are the cause of our sufferings. The solution, how do we get to clarity? Removing this filth from our mind. Removing the egotism, removing anger, removing greed. That application, that practice of removing is man ko janam janam ki mal lagi, kala hua se. That practice of removing that filth is practicing Naam, which is Nanak ke kar keval Naam. In the house of Guru Nanak, only thing that is offered is Naam, which is Vin Name Nahi Ko Tham. The presence, the presence of that Vaheguruji. It's like Khalak Khalak mein, Khalak vasai Rab mahe. Khalak Khalak is the creator. Khalak is all of us. Khalak, the Vaiguruji lives in us, but Khalak vase Rab Mai. This is very imperative, very important. We also live in Vaiguruji. We also live in Naam. And that recognition is Naam Simran, Naam Japna. That can lead us from chaos to clarity. And the second virtue is Sad Sangat, like Mil Sangat Gun Pragas. Our virtues shine in the virtuous congregation. Virtuous congregation is not the people who would tie like gold pagga, round turbans, white, lambe chole or neele chole, or not the external manifestation, but guna de naal rehna, satgur guni nidan hai. Being in the company of Kartar, being in the company of the virtues of Vaiguruji. Bisar gai sab tat parai. We were talking about getting rid of that mal, that filth that is attached to our mind. Say, for example, jealousy. Bisar gai sab tat parai. This is Naam Japna. Jab te sad sangat moe pai. Getting rid of that filth of jealousy by being in the company of Vaiguruji's Shabad, Vaiguruji's Bani. ਕਿ ਮਨ ਧੋਵੋ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਲਾਗੋ ਮਨ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਧੋਣਾ ਹੈ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਨਾਲ so when I wash my mind with Gurbani, like the way we are discussing, this thought is gonna let go of me. I will let go of this thought, the jealousy that I'm holding on to. Then next application that we can do, we use is seva. So seva would also mean that you are taking care of others. But seva, as per Gurbani, also means Gur ki seva shabad vichar. Reflection on the shabad. Guru de shabad nu apni vichar banai jaye. Like there are stages. Mind is thoughts. We probably have 100,000 thoughts a day. Then next would be contemplating on the thoughts. Chette karna. Being with a particular thought. And then next stage is dhyan. Dhyan is not like you're sitting somewhere and your eyes are closed and you switch off the lights and you are chanting on one word. That is one of the ways that has been practiced past 2,500 years, came with Buddhism. And the yogis, they actually worked really hard 1,000 years ago. But Nanak was like, he challenged them. He would say, Jogi jugat na jane and. This dhyan, what Gurbani talks about is meditation. It's like practicing mindfully the teachings of Gurbani. That is number 3, seva. Then surrendering your ego, or like Charan Kamal Janka Man Rape, Sog Agantis Jan Na Byape. So we'll be like Charan Kamal means lotus feet of Vaiguruji. We need to understand what is the meaning of lotus feet of Vaiguruji. Wherever this charan comes, it means the teachings of Bani. Man rappe, it's so beautiful word that my mind resides in the teachings of Vaiguruji. And if this happens, sog agantis jan na byape. What is sog? Sadness. So sadness is not going to touch me, this fire of sadness, if my mind dwells in the teaching of Vaiguruji. Then forgiveness, parka bura na rakhochi. These are the virtues we need to practice. This is the naam we need to japa, we need to meditate on. that if I do not harbor evil intentions against others, in my mind, tumko dukh nahi payegi. So this is one-liner, simple solution to my troubles, my sufferings, my problems, my troubles, my chaos. Don't harbor evil intentions against anyone. That's it. But we are like, I am suffering. Sufferings are outside of me. Someone else is causing me. So I have to engage some kind of divine source to come and rescue me. And I'll make that divine thing happy by chanting or by worshiping or by praying. But I'm not going to take any responsibility that this behavior is because of me. And if I do not engage in harboring, say, evil intentions or jealousy, then I can be, because it's a work, and I would want to outsource the work to some outer agency. So these are the some of the points, and there's a famous saying that pain is inevitable, but sufferings are optional. And problems are inevitable, misery is a choice. So we can choose which path we want to follow. Gurbani brings us back to our own self, encourages self-improvement, and focuses on our own thoughts and behaviors. So Gurbani teaches us to practice virtues, live in the grace, and that is actually living in Khalak Vasaya Rab Mahir, living in Vaheguru Ji, living in divine wisdom. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, I can take if we have time, but you would know. And I fully agree with Tarseem Ji that Naam is law of nature. Yeah, Hukam is Naam. Eko Naam Hukum hai. Nanak Satgur diya bujai ji.
We can hold space about for another minute for more questions, and if there are no more, again, feel free to jump in, whether that's turning on your camera, jumping in, or putting questions in the chat. Otherwise, we want to thank you so much for your time and your insights, Dr. Singh. Truly.
Thank you.
I think this is a beautiful compliment to our earlier session. We're so glad to have you.
Thanks for
And
having me.
of course, to follow up directly with that, we have Kanwaljit Singh. Are you here, Kanwaljit? We have a few minutes before 3 p.m. for Kanwaljit Jeet's session.
I think let's take a little stretch break. And
Agreed.
Yes, I am here.
We'll just be Vijay Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh Ji.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ
ਮੇਰੇ ਖਿਆਲ ਆਪਾਂ 5 ਮਿੰਟ ਦੀ break ਲੈ ਲਈਏ
That's
ਸਾਰੇ
fine. Yeah, I was gonna suggest that.
Yeah, we've been sitting here for a little while. Let's take a quick stretch break, and in 5 minutes, I think we can resume.
Yeah, before we go to break, Dipinder ji, long time. Do you remember?
Hanji ji, Hanji.
We met long time ago with Rana ji, huh?
Yes.
Please leave your number in the chat or speak it now so that we can be in contact after this. Please?
Yes.
Key number hai?
It's 562
Geo
310
Geo
8827.
8827. Got it. Thank you, Sikh.
Thank you.
Nicely said. I'm glad to hear you for the first time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ji. Yeah, we can go on break in there.
All right. See everyone shortly.
Yeah.
Let's take just another minute or two and we can start coming back.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Kanwaljit ji. Thank you so much for joining us. We're very excited to have you. I'd like to offer a brief introduction before I hand it over to you. Kanwaljit Singh is the CEO of Falcon Pride, a nonprofit which conducts various projects related to enhancing and spreading the word of Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Kanwaljit Singh has been residing in the United States the past 40 years. After retiring, he decided to give back a small portion of his debt to the Guru and the Sikh community worldwide, with the focus of providing education in the Gurmat value system, freeing the Sikh human mind from dogmatic rituals, and facilitating the understanding and practice of Guru Granth Sahib in one's day-to-day life. He's traveled to London, India, Bangkok, Malaysia, Singapore, Dubai, and Australia, and held such programs through Katha, Kirtan, seminars, and workshops. Kanwaljit has always had a passion for Sikhi, comparative knowledge of Western and Eastern literature, Gurmat Sangeet, Hindustani vocal music, and psychology. However, his ability to tie the knowledge into the exploration of Gurbani, which drives home a new perspective to the listener, thereby creating a previously unfelt love and passion for Gurbani. His speaking style of self-examination places a thrust on introspection. Kanwaljit Ji continues to hold youth camps, Kirtan Vichars retreats, and interactive sessions with all age groups in the USA and multiple countries with his knowledge of Gurbani. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Simranji. And everyone present here. Let's do one scan. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Okay.
Thank you for having me here. Start with of course, Gurbani. आओ सिख सतगुरु के प्यारे हो, गावो सच्ची बाणी, बाणी तां गावो गुरु केरी, बाणिया सिर बाणी, जिनको नदर करम होवे, हृदय तिना समाणी, पीवो अमृत सदा रहो हर रंग, जप हो सारंग पानी, कह नानक सदा गाओ, एह सच्ची बाणी, गाओ सच्ची बाणी. Let me share. Once again, welcome to this session. I am a firm believer of all through my life that we do have different level of understanding, but if we accept without being self-centered, egotist, that it could be possibly, I could be wrong. So whatever in the following time, the next session is maybe 45 minutes. I'm no authority of whatever I say, but I'm sharing my thoughts. I definitely own them. And my source of inspiration is Guru Granth Sahib. Thank you. Stupid question. मैं आज इत्थे क्यों आया हाँ? Sorry, I wanted someone to heads up. You might have gotten it already. That we are here to talk intermittently. So please feel free to talk. And let me admit the best shortcoming, that I'm not a multitasker. I might miss your messages in chat. So please raise your hand and say, मैं आज इत्थे क्यों आया? Quick. No? पता ही नहीं. So the fault goes to the holder of flagship, the organizer of flagship, that I was not informed for the topic. To talk about. Does anyone knew it? Previously, did anyone knew it? Does anyone know it now? Don't know. यार मजा नहीं आना इदां कल्लियां गलबात करन वाले I say कि मैं कबरां दे नाल गल नहीं करदा हुंदा.
कमलजीत सिंह जी मैनू एक शेयर याद आ गया.
Oh,
says कि लाई हयात आए कज़ा ले चली चले अपनी खुशी से आए न अपनी खुशी चले.
Yeah. यार तुसी ते दूजे पासे ले जियो. मैं जा रहा था जानिबे मंजिल. लोग साथ आते गए, कारवां बनता गया.
Nice.
यही है. Now, do I agree? Simran ji, did you send out any notes or informative part that we're gonna talk, or the audience is welcome to share their views?
Yes, absolutely. I've placed in the chat, and everyone, please feel free to jump in. No worries about interruption.
All right. Thank
anything
you.
like that. Mhm.
Thank you. So Gurbani is the light. Now, do I agree with it? Or let me rephrase the question. What is light? I'm an old person, so dumb questions would be there. Please pardon me. Ignore my
I
age.
think when you refer to light, are you referring to like the inner conscious or the soul that's within everyone?
Wow. Yes, sir. Thank you.
I also think light is kind of the guru's way of like taking us away from the Maya and focusing on what's actually important, like living life through the guru's teachings and such.
Wow. I should join the class and let you guys handle it.
We have
Trust me.
something in the chat, Amrit, as light is being entwined with the divine.
Yes. All of the above. Thank you. This line has been derived from Maya mo mera prab kina ape param pulaye. That our attachment to Maya is God's creation. We are being misled through illusions and doubts. The manmukhs, the self-will. There are two kinds of people Vani is talking about. One is a manmukh and one is gurmukh. And they are poles apart. Manmukh is man de magar lagya hoya. Gurmukh is jida mu guru wala guru de magar lagya hoya. Guru kaun hai? Gurbani as well. Gurbani is jag mein chan. Manmukh karam kare nahi bujhe. Birtha janam guaye. We are all, without understanding this, we are leading our lives in Guru's absence. And Gurbani is jag mein chanan. Karam vasya manai. Now, what we cannot do before we come to the subject, we need to delve into our mind because to be in the same at the same page. What kind of now do I have association with Gurbani? Any kind. Bond, association. Do I? I am talking about every individual. Yes? No?
We have answers coming in the chat as well.
I'm
Enjoy.
sorry.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
please do me that favor.
Can you please repeat the question? Is it, do I have association bond with Gurbani?
Yes. Am I related with Gurbani?
Yes.
Thank you. Just that. No details. Simranji, would you do me a favor during the session if there is anything in the chat, because I have my screen full. In the chat, if you could interrupt me by saying it, I won't mind it.
Amrit
Read
S
it out,
says,
please.
Gurmukhs are selflessly serving and Manmukhs can work toward becoming Gurmukh.
Yes, definitely. So that's one thing. If someone answered, it's fine. If didn't, you have to focus on that. Ask yourself, then what kind of belief system I have? There are two things in literature: narrative and belief system. Whatever we study, we have to have some kind of belief. I have relationship, I have association, bond with my course books, the course I'm doing, the studies I've done. I was intensely, outwardly related, connected. These are all the words. Sorry, I couldn't. Hello?
Inderjeet?
You're okay, B.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, someone was saying something I couldn't. Okay. So that's a belief system. I'm asking myself, you ask yourself. And then, do I believe that Guru Granth Sahib is the only scripture which was compiled by our Guru? Knowledge and belief, two things are there in this statement. No other scripture on the earth in any belief system was written in the presence of Guru, in the presence of their prophet.
I have a question regarding that.
Sure.
So when you say that, would you also include like the Dasam Granth Sahib?
No. I talked about SGGS. And as I said, I'm only talking here of Guru Granth Sahib. Help books, other granths, no, we are not. That's not the focus of today's session. And Guru Granth Sahib is, mind you, I am asking myself, so could you, that ਕਿਵੇਂ ਸਚਿਆਰਾ ਹੋਈਏ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕੂੜਾ ਟੁੱਟਾ ਪਾਲ. In the very first paudi, we come to know we come to ask ourselves ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕੂੜਾ ਟੁੱਟਾ ਪਾਲ. How many of us do Japji part or read seldom, random, often? How many of us? No?
Every day.
Yes. Thank you. So we're gonna talk, if we have time, about this line, because this is the main crux of the whole Guru Granth. Indrajit, did you want to say some? You raise your hand or?
Oh, I actually just clapped when Mr. Tersaim Gorea, he said he does part every day, so that was very commendable. That's why I just
it was compliment. Okay, thank you. So now before we come to the subject, we talked about it. How can I be truthful and the veil of illusion be torn away? Do I agree with it? Am I here to find some tip or trick to be truthful? Ask yourself. We talked about association bonds. For any kind of relationship, we learned through behavioral science. These are some prereqs. Acceptance. Do I accept someone's existence? I want to be in intense relation with my dad, my mom. Do I accept? She's my mom. I am her son. I'm her daughter. Then, if I accept someone, do I have respect for that person? Reverence. If having accepted, I am respectful, do I have any emotion, thought of sacrificing for him or her? Regardless of everything, do I believe? And out of the parentheses, I have to have unconditional love and complete surrender. That's what we want to talk about. As Indrajit Singh has already mentioned, that we're going to talk about the light is, we're not going to talk about outward. We are going to talk about the inside light up here. And it's the subject is very intense. We may not be able to complete it, of course, but whatever is admissible to Vaiguruji. Just take a deep breath and we'll proceed. In today's premise, one belief system, Satgur Pure Sach Gaya. I have fullest faith in my mom. We'll take examples from the worldly behavior or environment. I have fullest belief in my mom. I was young, although in this postmodernism, everything is provable. I was told that A is my father. Having believed my mom, I started believing her and calling my father my dad. I didn't ask for any certification. Belief to the level of conviction. Then we're gonna have a glimpse about how was I evoluted in the where the very inception of me was in the fetus. This is all Gurbani is highlighting all these subjects. I chose just a handful, not even handful, because it's enormous. The whole Guru Granth is talking about the light. How do I become Satyar? Whatever helps me. Then we're gonna talk about spiritual purpose of my worldly deeds. Lama. Then my Atmak insight, spiritual viewpoint. We're gonna talk about, if we get a chance, what kind of stopover is this world? We go on a highway, we take exit, and that's our stopover. How many times you stopped? We share with each other. Now here, what kind of stopover? Then we call it Chanana, and some of you have answered. But I'm gonna look into myself that how Gurbani enlightens my inside, prima facie, and leads me to look from the same glasses in the outside world. Then, have I ever thought about oneness, I-ness, and otherness? Matter of fact, these are the three things that I live day in and out. And fact of the facts is that the whole Gurbani is talking about my mind. Everything behind, my mind is behind everything. It won't be out of place to talk about whatever I am, that's my personality. Behind it are some habits. All the habits make my personality. Behind the habits are some actions that were repeated, became my habit. Behind the action was a thought. So if I keep on dwelling upon, thinking again, mulling over the thought, it becomes my action. Keep doing action becomes my habit, turns to personality. That's the reason ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਓਏ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਨਾ ਕਰੀ ਬੜਾ ਕੱਬਾ ਈ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੋ ਮੂੰਹ ਤੇ ਚਪੇੜ ਮਾਰ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਈ ਉਹ he starts fighting. ਆਸ਼ਾ ਨੇ in the very first ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਥੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਪਜੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਵੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਆ ਮਨ ਜੀਤੈ ਜਗ ਜੀਤ, that's a crux. The Gurbani teaches me lightning. These are all lights. the highlighted areas. How to subjugate my man. And man jeeta jag jeet. Evi kya? Evi kya ke aisa naam niranjan hoye jeko man jana man koy. वो ऐसा है निरंजन spotless पर जेको मन जाने having accepted through man through mind मन न जाने मन कोई मन दियां चार तरह दियां किस्मां ने चार तरह दे नाल आया है. We are not here to talk about that pronunciation and grammar. बट उन्हां चों दो आईयां ने एक मम्मा टिप्पी दे नाल नन्ना सियारी एक मम्मा ते नन्ना एक नन्ने नु औंकड़ ते एक with no syllables. ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਬਾਣੀ ਚ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਗੁਰਚਰਨ ਲਾਗ ਹਮ ਬਿਨਵਤਾ ਪੂਛਤ ਕਾਹੇ ਜੀ ਉਪਾਇਆ. ਮੇਰਾ ਆਉਣ ਦਾ ਪਰਪਸ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ? ਕਵਨ ਕਾਜ what is the purpose of the world's taking birth and dying? ਕਹੋ ਮੋਹੇ ਸਮਝਾਇਆ. In the very first rag, Siri Rag, Gurbani is talking about stages of awareness. Awareness is not worldly, it's a spiritual awareness. The heading of the Bani is Pehre. पहले पहरे रहन के वणजारिया मित्रा बालक बुद्ध अचेत. Vanjara, the person who has come here or anywhere when we go to do business. We make deals, we buy stuff and ship them. Come to the station back home and we sell them. Similarly, spiritually speaking, I am here. पातशाह कहंदे ने एक थां ते वणज करो वणजारियो. Oh my merchant friends, you deal with वखर लियो समाल. Buy some stuff which is very valuable and hold it on till you get back. And then give it back to your boss. ऐसी वस्तु विसाई है जैसी निभ है नाल. Mind you, get something, buy something profitable, invest in something profitable. अगे शाह सुजान है लैसी वसमा. When you give it to the boss, get back to the station, he'll take care of it. Now, whenever I read Gurbani, my belief is that reading Gurbani, talking about Gurbani, singing Gurbani, these are the three modes of communication, conversation with my Lord. Gana, padna, sunna. Now, question is, I keep on asking, whenever I read Gurbani, I ask myself, do I do it? Yes or no? Applicable, not applicable. पहले पहले रहन के वणजारिया मित्रा बालक बुद्ध अचेत. Childlike understanding. So what did I used to do? Drinking milk, fondly, and loved by mom and dad. Am I peeking in my past? Did something different happen to me? Maat pit sutne kanera maya mo sabai. Parents love him immensely, but in maya, all are caught unwarily in emotional attachment. Look, where did I start getting caught? We do believe that api ne aap saajyo, api ne rachyo nawasa diwar da pehli paudi. Dui kudrat sajiye kar asan ditho chao. Data karta aap tu tus deva kare pasao. Tu janoi sab se de lese jind kawao kar asan ditho chao. This is all your game. Oh, bajigar dank bajai, sab khalq tamashe. This whole age of dunya, we will be going through it in the following, that this world, this cosmos is a play created by the God. Sanjogi aya kirt kamaya karni kar karai. Now you start performing actions to determine your future. As you sow, so shall you reap. And Ram Nam bin Muktana hoi, Buddhi duje het. Mind you, without contemplating upon his name, you can't rid of the shackles of duality or Maya. Kavdanak prani pele pere, chutenga harche. So in first stage, if you start remembering, contemplating him, you could be saved. Duje pere, par jwani lehri de. Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib also gave a synopsis, Bal Jwani ar Bird, Hun Teen Avastha Jaan. He said that too. Bura palana pachane vanjarya mitra manarata manmata ahamme anahamme. Intoxicated with ego, unable to distinguish between good and bad. My mind is brimmed with intoxication. And bura palana pachane prani agya panth karara. Can't differentiate between righteous and wrongful. And the road ahead is deceitful. Pura Satgur Kabuna Sevya Sir Thande Jamdara. Didn't care about the Guru. Now, when I say Guru, means Guru Bani. When I say Guru, means Gyan, knowledge. I had knowledge, worldly knowledge, but I didn't pay attention to gain some spiritual knowledge. And fear of death started hovering over them. धर्म राय जब पकरस बवरे तब क्या जवाब करे? When the judge grabs and interrogates Bavre, madman, what would you have to answer? And Kau Nanak Duje Pahare Prani, Par Joban Lehri De. This is your second stage. No one can say, no, my stage was different. Because we talked about in the very beginning, Satgur Pure Sach Gaya. Pura hai, Pure ka kiya sab kich pura. Katvad kich na. And we also many times, many of us chanted, Ke tu pura, hum ure hoche. You are complete, we are incomplete. Kau Nanak duje pere prani par joban lehri de. In second stage, O Nanak, says Nanak, the fullness of youth flings you like waves in storm. कदी सुनदे हैं ਅਸੀਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਜਵਾਨ ਹੁੰਨੇ ਆ? If I look back, when I look youngsters, I always say, well, I used to be the same. I've been there, done that. Third stage. ਤੀਜੇ ਪੈਰੇ ਰਹਿਣ ਕੇ ਵਣਜਾਰਿਆ ਮਿੱਤਰਾ, ਮਨ ਲੱਗਾ ਆਲ ਜੰਜਾਲ. Now, next stage. Mind is engrossed, entangled in worldly and household affairs. ਧਨ ਚਿਤਵੈ Now, Tan here is the money. Tan sanchve, Vanjarya Mitra, Harnama, Harna Samar. What was to be done? I didn't do it. My mind was engrossed in worldly and household affairs. I didn't think about Shabad Naam. Won't be out of place here to mention that is someone aware of encyclopedia? There are 3 encyclopedias in our religion or in a belief system. Mahan Kosh, Gurcharan Singh Kosh, the Guru Granth Kosh, and the Pai Veer Singh's Kosh. Are we aware of it? Anyone?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, thank you. So, if I go through by Kosh, Kosh gives me synonyms of a word. Sometimes they are numerous.
Uncle G, can you explain Kosh Hunda Ki hai?
Kosh, encyclopedia.
For people who don't know, yeah.
Okay, now, in accordance with Kosh, Shabad, and I'm repeating the language, Shabad te naam Guru Granth vich aksar synonyms li aaya hai. They mean the same. That's one. We have seen, heard, talking that naam ki hai ji, Shabad ki hai ji. Whereas those scholars, they have already laid easy steps for us. Understandability, understandings. Shabad, naam, kartar, relating to God. They are all the same. Upadesh, ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਪੂਰੇ ਗੁਰ ਕਾ ਸੁਨ ਉਪਦੇਸ਼ ਪਾਰ ਬ੍ਰਹਮ ਨਿਕਟ ਕਰ ਪੇਕ. That too. Gurbani, Guru, and Hukam. Amazing. They are all synonyms. So, ਮਨ ਲਾਗਾ ਆਲ ਜੰਜਾਲ ਧਨ ਚਿਤਵੈ ਧਨ ਸੰਚਵੈ ਵਣਜਾਰਿਆ ਮਿੱਤਰਾ ਹਰਨਾਮਾ ਹਰਨਾ ਸੰਭਾਲ. ਸ਼ਬਦ ਦੀ ਨਾਮ ਦੀ ਹੁਕਮ ਦੀ ਮੈਂ ਗੱਲ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤੀ. ਐਂਡ ਹਰਨਾਮਾ ਹਰ ਹਰ ਕਦੇ ਨਾ ਸੰਭਾਲੈ ਜੇ ਹੋਵੈ ਅੰਤ ਸਖਾਈ. You never abide by his name, and I apply to myself. Did I? Who could be your helper and support in the end? End means whenever I don't have a definite way to go on a spiritual path. ਇਹ ਧਨ ਸੰਪੈ ਮਾਇਆ ਝੂਠੀ. Now I was engrossed with the money, the dineros. ਅੰਤ ਛੋੜ ਚਲਿਆ ਪਛਤਾਈ. They say there is no pocket in the coffin, the last sheet that is put on me. There is no pocket, and there is no wardrobe in any qabr. ਕਬਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਾਰਡਰੋਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ ਤੇ ਕਫਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਜੇਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ. Then have I ever gotten a chance to stop and think, what am I doing? Making just money. Money, money, and money. And when it comes to the last, I have seen people, they say, buy me a 1 day more. Take the whole wealth. But it can't be done. ਇਹ ਧਨ ਸੰਪੈ ਮਾਇਆ ਝੂਠੀ. ਸੰਪੈ is a state. ਅੰਤ ਛੋੜ ਚਲਿਆ ਪਛਤਾਈ. I repent at last. ਜਿਸਨੂੰ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰੇ ਗੁਰ ਮੇਲੇ ਸੋ ਹਰ ਹਰ ਨਾਮ ਸੰਭਾਲ. ਕਹੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਤੀਜੇ ਪੈਰੇ ਪੁਰਾਣੀ Se jai mile har nar. I'm going a little bit faster. If you need me to slow down, just let me know. Fourth stage. चौथे पैरे रहन के बन जा रहा मित्रा. Now it's, see the analogy that has been used. Raat. You might have heard your elders ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰਦਿਆਂ ਰਾਤੀ ਚਾਰ ਪੈਰ ਦਿਨ ਆਪ ਦੇ ਭਾਣੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਬਤੀਤ ਹੋਇਆ, ਚਾਰ ਪੈਰ ਰਹਿਣ ਆਈਏ ਭਾਣੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਬਤੀਤ ਕਰ. So the 24 hours were distributed in 8 pairs, 8 fragments. ਇਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਹਲੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੜਿਆ ਵੀ ਵਿਸਵੇ ਚੱਸਿਆਂ ਘੜੀਆਂ ਪਹਿਰਾਂ ਤਿੱਤੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਮਾਹ ਹੁਆ. All fragments of time. ਚੌਥੇ ਪਹਿਰੇ ਰਹਿਣਗੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦਿਨ ਨੇੜਿਆ ਆਇਆ ਸੋਏ. Is drawing near. ਗੁਰਮੁਖ ਨਾਮ ਸੰਭਾਲ ਤੂੰ ਵਣਜਾਰਿਆ ਮਿੱਤਰਾਂ ਤੇਰਾ ਦਰਗਾਹ ਬੇਲੀ ਹੋਏ. What is dargah? The awareness of my Lord. It could be anywhere, anytime. ਗੁਰਮੁਖ ਨਾਮ ਸੰਭਾਲ. ਗੁਰੂ ਵੱਲ ਮੂੰਹ ਕਰਕੇ ਨਾਮ ਦੀ ਸੰਭਾਲ ਨਾ ਕਰ. Contemplate. Better than it's better now than never, because it gonna help me. ਗੁਰਮੁਖ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਭਾਲ ਪੁਰਾਣੀ ਅੰਤੇ ਹੋਏ ਸਖਾਈ. And then ਇਹ ਮੋਹ ਮਾਇਆ ਤੇਰੇ ਸੰਗ ਨਾ ਚਾਲੈ ਝੂਠੀ ਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਲਗਾਈ. Mind you, nowadays, the psychological way, the scientific way, that the lust and inclination towards others other than Rabji, it starts from fetus. And we never got a chance to read our Guru Granth Sahib. Taking a little bit aside. Ik Oankar. Ik is one. It could have been one, O-N-E. It could have been Ida, Idi te Kaka. But it's in the number. Why? The words can have different meanings in different languages, but the numbers never change. One, yak, ek, una, it's all the same. Now, this is, if I get stuck with one ikonkar, my guru says, ik to bagair, what do we call? What is next to the one number? Do. Duja. ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਸ ਟਰਮ ਨੂੰ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਦੂਜਾ, other than one. And we talked about it, I-ness, otherness. It's just like connectivity. I'm calling Pupinder Kaur and uncle, I can't hear you properly. No. My bars are full. You check your bars. Right away, I go for the connectivity. Right away. When was it last I checked my connectivity with my Lord? I wanted to converse, of course. Think about it. Emo maya tere sang na chale. Jhoothi preet lagai. The attachment was not correct. Filial. Kood. Sagli ਰਹਿਣ ਗੁਦਰੀ ਅੰਧਿਆਰੀ ਸੇਵ ਸਤਗੁਰ ਚਾਨਣ ਹੋਏ. ਕਉ ਨਾਨਕ ਪ੍ਰਾਣੀ ਚੌਥੇ ਪਹਿਰੇ ਦਿਨ ਨੇੜੇ ਆਇਆ ਸੋਏ. Last, ਲਿਖਿਆ ਆਇਆ ਗੋਵਿੰਦ ਕਾ ਵਣਜਾਰਿਆ ਮਿੱਤਰਾ ਉੱਠ ਚੱਲੇ ਕਮਾਣਾ ਸਾਥ. The bailiff has come with the summons. Now, time to depart. Leave. It's either now or never. ਇੱਕ ਰੱਤੀ ਬਿਲਮ ਨਾ ਦੇਵ ਨਹੀਂ ਵਣਜਾਰਿਆ ਮਿੱਤਰਾ ਉਨੀ ਤਕੜੇ ਪਾਏ ਹਾਥ not even 1 second delay with firm hands the messenger of death is grabbing me receiving the summons people are seized and dispatched ਲਿਖਿਆ ਆਇਆ ਪਕੜ ਚਲਾਇਆ ਮਨਮੁਖ ਸਦਾ ਸੁਹੇਲੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮਨ ਦੇ ਮਗਰ ਲੱਗੇ ਹੋਏ ਸਨ ਜਿਨੀ ਪੂਰਾ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਸੇਵਿਆ ਸੇ ਦਰਗਾ ਸਦਾ ਸੁਹੇਲੇ but those who had contemplated, served the true Guru, the perfect Guru, they were happy. If I am going on freeway, keeping my speed in accordance with the displayed sign, I don't bother if someone, the cop siren is there behind me, because I know I'm cruising on the posted sign. If I am not, it's the same thing. Driving my life, leading my life. The body is field of karma. In this life, you will harvest whatever you plant. This is a golden principle in whole Gurbani. Ape beej, ape hi kha. As you sow, so shall you reap. If I am sowing a seed of mango, can I reap apple? That's it. Who's giving me this light? Gurbani. How? I have to read. I have to converse with my Guru. Kau Nanak Bhagat Soine Darware Manmukh Sada Pawan. Apart from it, in Sukhmani Sahib we talk, Ramaya ke gun chet purani, kavan mool te kavan drishtani, oye jintu saaj sawar singarya, garb gan mein jine ubarya, who saved me in the fetus? 98-degree temperature. Man, I don't want to go to Phoenix. It's 112. Bar Bivastha, tujhe pyare doodh. Fed you with milk only. Strange, when I came to existence, the milk came through my mom's breast. Who did that? ਭਾਰ ਜੋਬਨ ਭੋਜਨ ਸੁਖ ਸੂਦ ਬਿਰਧ ਭਇਆ ਉਪਰ ਸਾਕ ਸੈਨ ਮੁਖ ਪਿਆਉ ਬੈਠ ਕੋ ਦੈਨ ਇਹ ਨਿਰਗੁਣ ਗੁਣ ਕਛੂ ਨਾ ਬੂਝੈ. Despite all these blessings, this worthless mind, foolish mind, has not valued in the least. O Nanak, forgive this being. We have not left much of the time. And ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਸ਼ਟਪਦੀ ਹੈ ਸ਼ਲੋਕ ਹੈ ਨਿਰਗੁਣਿਆਰ ਇਆਨਿਆ ਸੋ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਸਦਾ ਸਮਾਲ. Now, do I agree with it? Someone is calling me, oh, you worthless. I am holding the flagship of this summit. How can someone say you are worthless? You are ignorant. Ianya. But Guru can say, I have understood, I have firm belief that whatever Guru says is true. My understandability could be wrong, could be false. I have to attune my understandability with that of Guru's thought. And mind you, same thing. If I want to change my personality, the resulting factor, I need to hold on to the thought. Thought आया चपेड़ मारा मैं ਇਹਨੂੰ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਫੇਰ ਆਇਆ irrelevant ਬੋਲੀ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਬੁੱਢਾ. That's the reason I don't want to talk to Buddhas. I stay away. They do lectures. And finally, I skip. Action. Action could be vice versa too. That nirgunyar, worthless, ignorant, childish guy, dwell upon the God forever. When was that? How many times I have had strange constraints. Oh, I have to appear, I have to give a test. Oh, I have to give a speech. Oh, I have to write an essay, submit tomorrow, tonight by 12 a.m. Been there, done that. Whereas I had read in the very first 8 attributes, Ek Onkar Satnam, Gur Prasad Tak, Karta Purakh. He is the doer out of everything. Talking of the enlightenment. He is the doer. Is he? I am not. Yes, I'm not. Then, when was it last when I was awarded or I had a feather in my tassel and I said, it's all Sab gun tere, main nahi ko. It's all your blessing, my dear Lord. Rather, I said, I did it. Karta main ho gaya. Light ki kendi si mainu, Gurbani ki kendi si, whenever you attain something, just thank him. You say the same thing, I did it. But inside, I couldn't have done it if you wouldn't be there. Any gal karni si. Is karke, jin kiya tis cheet rakh, Nanak nibhi na. You have to keep in mind the Creator. You have to hold on to the finger of the elder while you are in carnival. You won't be lost. Too much thinking. Right? Now, dunya kaise mukame? What kind of stopover is the world? Kar siddhak karni kharch bandho lag raho name. The spiritual faith, the deeds in the realm of faith, settle up for your journey, staying committed to the virtuous doings. The world is a transitory place of mortal beings. Dunya mukam fani spursion. Guru Nanak Sahib. Dunya mukam fani tahqiq dildani. You keep in mind, guy. Mam sar muhe Azrail grifte dil hech nadani. Similar to the last thought we had done, that when the messenger of death catches you, catches me, then I don't realize. Even then, I don't realize. Taking a pause here, because the subject is very vast. I'm sorry. Now, should we call it a day? Too bored? Any question I couldn't complete? Maybe in the next session, if you guys okay it. Otherwise, we can talk different. Any question? Sorry, because I'm not a computer savvy person. So when I run the slides, I miss the rest of the screen. So Simranji, there wasn't any new, whatever were there, you did go over, huh?
Sorry, can you
The chat part. I'm going through now.
Yeah, there were no new messages.
I got it. Any question?
Very insightful, Uncle G.
Yes, thank you.
When we started today,
Thank you.
Energy was saying, you know, like where does talking about mental health come fall into Gurbani. And you, as well as the Dr. Deepinder Singh Vijay, and Jasveer Panji, were able to nail it in the head over and over. Again, speaking about Manjite Jagjit and the way our seva will be fruitful if we are able to, us and ourselves control our mind and control our thoughts. And, they say God helps those who help themselves. So, if we're going to help ourselves, we need to, be aware of, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar, all of these things, and all of how we can improve our society and community. Yeah, thank you. Inderjeet Vijay, would you like to add anything?
No, that's just what you said, Benji. It's very important for us to use Gurbani as our day-to-day guide on how we approach life. And it's like Gurbani is so immense that, that we need people like Mr. Kavaljit Singh to help us better understand it. And myself, I have so much to learn. And yeah, but thank you so much for the session today.
Yes, thank you so
Just
much.
I didn't because I couldn't complete the pre-decided. This was I'm sorry. Better to be
That's
late
okay.
than never.
Yeah,
There used to be my there is a connection and there is an email you can get from Simran too.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
from any Gurbani classes, that's what I do online teaching. You can always contact me. But we'll be now. Do you want me to be there on Thursday or not? Or that's it?
We will be in
Too
touch.
much of Gurbani.
Never too much, but we will be in touch with you. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Yeah,
Let me
can
know.
you share your contact info, like your website or something in the chat? So if someone wants to reach out for more assistance on better understanding Gurbani.
Sure. Give me a sec.
Uncle G, where do you live?
California,
Where?
Los Angeles.
Oh.
Give me 1 sec. ਬੁੜਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ task ਦੇ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਯਾਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ. There we go.
Beautiful. I've got this down. Thank you so much, Kanwaljit ji.
Thank you for letting me speak about my guru. I always get excited about it.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa.
Vaheguru
Ji Ki Fateh.
Reverend, do you want to wrap it up? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you all for attending our sessions today. I think it was a wonderful day of speakers, and tomorrow we have congressional speakers coming, so please be on the lookout for those. We'll be speaking more on policy as well. But I think this was a wonderful way to remind us of our baser selves as we go forward with our intentions of policymaking. So thank you all for today, and we look forward to welcoming you back tomorrow.
All right, everybody. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.